everybody? Welcome to a very special live show with me, John, and David, aka Shamrock Balls. Thank you to everyone who's already here live and everybody who will be joining us live. And today, David and I have actually a very special show for you guys. We're going to be counting down the top 10 sequels of all time, in our opinion. So it's really our favorite sequels of all time, not necessarily the best sequels ever made. Right, David?
Yeah, that's right. So just want to clear that up, that this is not what we're saying is what we think is officially the top 10 best sequels of all time. It is just our favorites, because no doubt there's going to be movies in here that people are going to dispute. So it's just down to personal taste.
Yep, 100%. And if you guys are watching this, there's two different kinds of live streams. There's one with a horizontal view and one with a vertical view. If you see the one you don't like, you can just back out and go to the other one, and that'll probably give you exactly what you want. Mr. Smelly, what's up, Mr. Smelly Potato? Glad you can pop in here with us. Also, when we hit number 5, me and David are going to break off a little bit, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Terminator 2 Special Edition and, what we like and dislike about that. Right, David?
Yeah. How you doing, Mr. Smelly Potato?
Mr. Smelly Potato's our channel bankroll member.
Yeah, so I see you said hello there, so I'll say hello back. So basically, the way we're setting up this format is that just rather than break it up into two sections of about Terminator 2 Special Edition and then our top 10, thought we'd make it a wee bit more fun and just split it up to the back end of our top 10, go into the T2 Special Edition, and then we'll finish off with our top 5. So to keep any viewers in anticipation.
That's right. You'll find out exactly what we want at the very, very, very end of this.
Yeah.
So, you feel free, guys, to throw in your top 10s or any kind of, you just in general, how you guys are feeling about sequels, or if you dislike or like, whatever you guys want. Just feel free. Have a good time hanging out in the chat. So,
yeah.
You want to start it off? So this is how it's going to work for our top 10. The way we're going to do this list is I used to watch a podcast called listen to a podcast called The Top 10 Show. And they had top 10 rules, which meant that they would just trade one movie a piece.
Yeah.
And then they would, if somebody had it on their list that was higher on their list, they would punt it so that they would only talk about the movie in one long conversation. And we're going to follow that same rule today.
Yeah, no problem. And just a disclaimer here that I want to put out is that I think that From Russia with Love is the best ever Bond movie. And that is the first sequel to the James Bond series, the Dr. No. However, I did not include that because I think we think of the James Bond series as an ongoing franchise, an ongoing series, not in the traditional sequel sense. So that's ruled out. And also, just to be clear, that Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom is a prequel. So that will not be on my list either.
Yeah, I kind of stayed away from the Indiana Jones franchise, and I stayed away from the MCU as well, just because any kind of like cinematic universe like that, because in the Marvel universe, you have the you have the Avengers films, you also have the Captain America movies, the Iron Man movies, and are those direct sequels? So I just didn't even touch that.
Yeah, well, you have no worries there about me, John.
Not a big MCU guy.
No, I think I've seen a handful of Marvel movies, but not a fan. The ones that I watched, I enjoyed, but they're just not for me. They're not movies I would revisit.
There's a good amount of ones in the MCU that I run back to like every now and again. I still think Thor Ragnarok is the best of them because it's a good action comedy and it's just fun. It's a fun one. When they capture that, it feels like a good comic book movie.
Yeah, and I've heard people have recommended that one to me, but I think I just missed that. I think I was just a wee bit too old for all that. Even though I know people who are around my age and older that love the Marvel movies, I don't know. I seen Thor in the cinema, enjoyed it, thought it was good, and I watched the first Iron Man, but I never felt the need to go back to them or continue watching anymore.
I work with a guy at my regular job who's 58 years old and loves the MCU, so I don't think you're too old for it.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to kind of explain why maybe I just didn't gravitate to it as much as other people. I just think me personally, I was just like, meh.
Yeah, I kind of felt like, I still watch them like when they come out, but like I really felt like with Endgame, that was the end, and that could have been the true end for it. But of course, with money, that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, money talks.
Yep. So anyway, let's you want to start us off with your number 10?
Yes. So my number 10, John, is Young Guns 2.
Had a feeling Young Guns 2 would be on the list. Didn't make my top 10.
Yeah. So I wrote down a wee synopsis for each of my movies. I was talking to you earlier, John, about this for each of my top 10, kind of like back in the day when you got like a television magazine to tell you what the listings were, or say a newspaper and you'd look through to see what was on. So I just done a one-line synopsis. The story of outlaw Billy the Kid continues with Sheriff Pat Garrett in pursuit to end his crimes for good and restore law and order into the Old West.
That's a perfect synopsis. Poppin' Fresh, just want to let you know that, yeah, there's two different live streams. There's a horizontal and a vertical one. So if you see it in stack like that and we're cropped weird, that's the smaller one. So you just got to back out and hit the other one as well.
No, popping fresh, just stay where you are. So you don't need to see John.
How dare you? You have to be able to see John. John's the man, right? It's only me cropped out. I don't know how to get it like you. I guess you're dead center and I'm not. I think this is me dead center, so I have to adjust to that like that. Do I still sound good? So Young Guns. So Young Guns too. Yeah, that's a good choice, and I appreciate the synopsis. David wrote these out.
Yeah, Young Guns 2 for me is one of those first westerns that I actually loved, and I contend that it's better than the original, and I don't understand the kind of negativity that Young Guns 2 gets. I don't understand it. I think it's a well made sequel, and I think it's got a better score than the original. I think it's got a cracking cast. I really don't know where the negativity comes in this movie, and it's pretty accurate as well in terms of historical accuracy. So I don't understand why it gets a bad rap.
I'm not too sure either. I really love Young Guns too as well, and that's the one with Bon Jovi. Shot down in a blaze of glory. If I'm correct.
Yeah, yeah. And I always thought the movie was called Young Guns 2 Blaze of Glory, and I was like, and I was looking at it today, and I was looking because I wanted, is there a sub? I thought there was a subtitle, and it turns out that that's just the subtitle of the song. So it's not the movie. So fair enough.
Yeah, I always thought Young Guns 2 was a very worthy sequel, and unfortunately, because the way it was received, we're not getting a third one until now. But I just don't think people understood the tone at the time. But I think it's a good sequel.
Yeah, I think it's a lot better than the first, and I like the first, and I think what really dates the first is the kind of rock and roll soundtrack that they have. It just doesn't suit it at all, and I don't know if that was probably edgy at the time to do that, and you could do anything you want with westerns because they weren't really doing westerns then. But when I look back on it, I think the overall movie, which is better, is Young Guns 2.
Yeah, I mean, I would personally pick Young Guns 2 over Young Guns 1. I like the rock. I think when we did our Young Guns podcast, I said, I like that rock soundtrack that they have to it and the score and everything. I kind of think it gives it that little bit of edge and makes it feel like that 80s Western, help it stand out a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's but I mean, it dates it that it's in that kind of era. Whereas I feel as if even though you could tell like Young Guns 2 was a 90s Western, the music doesn't date it. The Blaze of Glory song comes on at the end, and it's really nice when it comes on at the end, though.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I'll listen to Blaze of Glory any day of the week anyway.
Yeah.
So, what's up, Aaron? Glad you could pop in here. And what's this name? Aaliyah? What's up, Aaliyah? Aaliyah Addis? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And why the vertical format for YouTube on the live streams? There's two live streams. I know this is going to be something new that they're going to be having. So there's two new live streams. There's a vertical and a horizontal. So you can pop in and pick whichever one you want. I never seen a horizontal and vertical. Yeah, it gives two options because people watch this on their phone a lot. So it's supposed to make it easier for cell phone users. So it's not so stretched out in the widescreen. I don't know. That's just the way they designed it now. That's why. So it looks better like this. So David, my number 10. I don't think this is going to make your list. Is Top Gun Maverick?
Ah.
No, right?
Well, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, I thought you saw it. Oh, my bad.
Nope.
Yeah. So, Top Gun Maverick is the follow-up to 1986's Top Gun. Maverick, played by Tom Cruise. He hasn't advanced very far in his career, as you would think, because, of course, he's got to have that rebellious attitude in him. But now they need him to teach the new up-and-coming candidates over at Top Gun and, of course, save the day. And I thought this was a very worthy follow-up to the original Top Gun. It looks and sounds way better. And as far as legacy sequels go, you never get one that comes out that many years later that actually lives up to the original. And you can make an argument it's even better than the original.
Yeah, all I've heard is very good things about Top Gun Maverick. It is one that I will try and catch at some stage because I hear it's really good. And I'm a fan of the original. And I've kind of seen like it come up in the 4K sales, Top Gun Maverick. But I begrudge kind of like buying that in 4K before I've got the original in 4K because I've only got the original in Blu-ray.
I don't blame you. I mean, they always sell these in double packs.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, so you can always get like Top Gun 1 and Top Gun 2 together. I just always enjoyed them. I was a big fan of the original one from just, obviously loving the 80s. And then the sequel, I was skeptical, but
Yeah.
Joseph Kosinski's a pretty damn good director. And the way they shot the action and the way it sounds, it was a great, and this is kind of like was a return to theaters kind of thing, like after the pandemic. So it just made it feel even more special.
Yeah. Yeah. So hard. I heard Tom Cruise saved cinema.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of the guys. The guy doesn't age, so whatever he's out there doing, I support him.
Yeah, he's probably a vampire.
He looks like a vampire.
The stat.
It's the Scientology in him.
Yeah, was an interview with the vampire. He was in that, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Him and
Yeah,
Brad Pitt.
saying the stat. Not is he as good as Tom Skerritt though? That's what I want to know.
Nobody's as good as Tom Skerritt.
With that mustache.
I know. I love Tom Skerritt in the original one. He's unfortunately not in the sequel.
Oh, is he that? And he's still alive too?
He is still alive. I don't know what he's doing. But he's pretty old. I remember when I looked up his age, I was surprised. He was older than I thought. So I don't know what he's out there doing.
Yeah.
But what's your number 9?
Okay, my number 9 is Ghostbusters 2.
Stacy said that was her favorite one of all time. So Ghostbusters 2.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, Ghostbusters 2 also didn't make my top 10.
I don't know why. I have the chat on my phone here and I can't see a lot of the chat that's coming up, John, which you're calling out there. It's very strange.
Are you on the YouTube stream or just on our thing?
YouTube stream?
Huh, that's weird.
Couldn't see Stacy's message and I didn't see that other one that you read out.
Stacy's all the way up top. It's the very first one.
I'll go back in again. Sorry, I just want to make sure I can see everybody's comments here as well as it's coming through.
Yep, I'll try and hit him up like this. Top Gun Maverick is actually better than the OG. I was pleasantly surprised. It was amazing. Yeah, it blew me away too. I had no anticipation for that, and it really. What's up, Cowabunga dude?
Yeah. Do you know what I'm thinking here, John? I'm kind of thinking. I wonder, is it because you've got the 2 links? Is it depending which link that the people watching are in?
Well,
is that why I'm only seeing like? Am I only seeing like some of the comments from one of the links?
Maybe. I mean, I have both chats. I have the whole chat here, so like I could see them both. I don't know if you can, but if
maybe it's because maybe I'm on one of them links rather than I can't go into both at the same time.
Yeah, maybe not. Let me see. I was in one too, and I don't know if that's the case. I'm actually because I have it open as well. Very strange. Maybe I won't do this in the future and just do horizontal. And unless people like the vertical, that's the only thing I don't know. But yes, actually, you were right, David. That's exactly what it is because I only have 4 comments on this one.
Yeah, because I'm in the other link now, and I can see the other people that are watching. So just to let you know there. But yes, sorry, back on course here. Ghostbusters 2. Yes, 4 years later, New York City and our ghostbusting heroes face a new supernatural threat in the form of pink slime and a medieval tyrant, Vigo the Carpathian.
Vigo the Carpathian. I love him.
Yes, my lord. Yeah, Ghostbusters 2. I have to have it in my top 10. It is just again, this is another sequel, like maybe most sequels of that era, which gets a bad rap for being inferior to the original. And I get that it is a very kind of paint by numbers sequel, but I think it also brings its own kind of charm as well.
Huh, yeah, I think so too. It definitely. We did actually a show on this, you and I, and we haven't done the original Ghostbusters. I think we only did Ghostbusters, but we both feel that this is a very worthy follow up, and it's still, in my opinion, the second best Ghostbusters movie. Ignoring the other 3. So I always appreciated Ghostbusters too, and Vigo is a great follow up as well, and it's a very good looking movie also.
Yeah, obviously it's a kind of like goes through the same kind of steps as the first movie, which is its biggest fault in my opinion. But in saying that, I think they bring enough, excuse me, new characters and stuff to the movie to make it fresh again. And in a lot of ways, I like Vigo the Carpathian as a villain more than Zul. And again, it's always great seeing New York in the 80s. And I think that the song On Our Own is brilliant as well. I love that song.
It is great. Bobby Brown, he was killing it in the 80s. And popping fresh at Tom Skerritt is 92 years old.
82. He's getting on then.
Jesus Christ.
He looked about. Well, this was how would be right. I would say he looked about 60 in the 80s. Is that would be right?
Yeah, it would be right. I mean, he was in his, if you go back 50 years to 1985, he was 52. So that means he was 53 years old when they freaking had him in, if my math's right, in Top Gun.
Top Gun. Yeah.
That's wild. So, my number 9 then is, wow, I numbered this wrong. But anyway, is Back to the Future Part 2.
So are we going to punt that?
Oh, we're going to pump that if you have it on your list.
I've got it on my list. It's not my number 8. It's not.
So,
All
all right.
so we'll have to punt it.
We'll have to punt it up, all right. And he said, so Aaron Cluck said, Ghostbusters 2 is respectable. It's good, but so far, no sequel has topped the original, which, it's going to be really hard to top Ghostbusters.
Do you mean Ghostbusters sequel or sequel in general?
Ghostbusters sequels, I believe is what he means.
Yeah, if you're talking Ghostbusters sequel, yes, of course. The first one is just fantastic. It's you can't top that. That's like one of them movies that they say is like lightning in a bottle. They just hit everything right.
Yeah, and then when they try to like take things out, like taking the cigarette smoking out for the second one, it's like a noticeable like something's missing there.
Yeah, they tried to make it a wee bit more child friendly because the cartoon had been released, and then when you look at the Ghostbusters in the saga movie, they tried to make them look more like their cartoon counterparts than what they look like in the original movie. And as you say, John, they took out the likes of the smoking and stuff like that. But I still think it's a very funny movie. I think the humor and all is on point. And when you even look at what they done with Slimer in the saga movie compared to the first, where he was genuinely scary in the first movie, and then they made him like part of the furniture almost.
Yeah, exactly. So I agree though with you on this one. So what did I say for my number 8? For my number 9, I said Back to the Future Part 2. That was a punt. So we're on your number 8.
Yes. So my number 8 is Batman Returns.
Ooh, so that's a punt for me.
That's a punt. Okay.
So now we're on to my number 8, which I think might be a punt too. Rocky 2.
That's a punt.
Right.
So I actually think that's what I said. I was doing this list. I was thinking about this list for the past 2 weeks. And I was jotting my films down, and I wrote them down, and I was trying to narrow it down to the top 10, and I was kind of like, you know what? I think that me and John have done most of these movies on our podcast, so you could nearly guess my top 10.
Well, I'll be honest with you. If we'd done this list before I met you, Rocky 2 probably wouldn't have been on the list. That's one where our show and rewatching it a couple times over the last couple of years has really changed my influence on actually how I feel about Rocky 2.
That's good. That's good. And that's what I hope that our podcast kind of achieves as well, as just people who listen to it. If they enjoy listening to it, hopefully they see it from a different perspective, because we want to do movies we love. You know, we don't want to do movies we don't love.
Exactly. We don't want to just stand there and like say, "Oh, this movie sucks" for 2 hours. I don't think that'd be very fun. We want to talk about something we enjoy.
Yeah, there's nothing that gripes me more than listening to a podcaster come on and complain about a movie they don't like. Why do that?
Why even do it to yourself, right? Like, and that's actually something that Kevin Smith said recently. He's like, ever since he had the heart attack, he doesn't like concentrate on negative movies anymore. He's like, I did that all already. And then you realize like life's too short. I'm going to concentrate on the things I like.
But where's the enjoyment in that? We could sit here and say, like, we know some of these movies that we love have flaws, but we can say, well, we love them for this reason, because, there's very few movies that are perfect.
Unfortunately, negativity draws the eye more than actually positivity, believe it or not. And you can just see that in the news.
Yeah, but the problem there is that negativity, you're right, John, gets a lot more maybe clicks than positivity. But we want positivity. We want people to enjoy. And maybe we might do a movie that one of your subscribers, John, will not like, which is fine. But if they listen to it and we can give them a brand new appreciation, then...
I mean, listen, I listened to a podcast the other day, and they were talking about, what's his name, Stephen Hawkins, who directed Judgment Night that we did. And the guy was reading off his filmography.
Stephen Hopkins?
Hopkins. What I say, Hawkins? I'm thinking of Hawkins, Indiana.
You said Stephen Hawkins. Stephen Hawkins. I was going, Stephen Hawkins.
Stephen Hawkins.
That's why I had to stop you there.
But he's talking. He's listening off his movies, and then when they get to Judgment Night, he's like, "Yeah, Judgment Night, that's a shit movie," and then passes by it. I'm like, "You motherfucker!"
He couldn't even defend his own movie. I hope he defended Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5.
Well, that's what the conversation got picked up on, was like about talking about Nightmare 5. Yeah. Brides of Dracula is a good part too, actually.
Bride of Dracula, yeah, it is, yeah. Actually, I didn't even think of the
Universal Monsters.
Universal Monsters, but again, it probably wouldn't be my top 10 favorite, but it is a good sequel.
I have Bride of Frankenstein in my honorable mentions. Didn't crack my top 10,
Yeah,
so that's the closest I got to a Universal monster.
yeah, and keeping my honorable mentions till the end.
Oh, what's up, William? We got T2 baby. Yeah, we'll be talking about that special edition pretty soon, buddy.
Yeah.
So
Do you
we're
want
up
to know
to,
about it? Sorry, go ahead, John. Sorry.
I was gonna say, so we're up to number 7, right? But
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You want my number 7?
yes, sir.
Here we go. Psycho 2.
Oh, I knew that's another one that I knew would make your list. Can't quite put it on my top 10 yet.
Okay. Well, synopsis. You're going to like this one. Former serial killer Norman Bates is coming home after 22 years in some place. Declared legally sane by the state, he vows to reopen his motel.
And you know what? He really wants to reopen that hotel. And unfortunately, there's a couple of people standing in his way from just getting done what he wants to get done.
Yeah, but when you look at it through Norman's eyes, that's basically the plot of the movie for him. That's all he wants to do.
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, unfortunately, first person he's got to deal with is Tombs over there.
Yeah, to me. Yeah.
Sloppy Tombs. And actually, here's what Aaron Click said just to line up with you at the same time before you even said it. Gremlins 2, Ghostbusters 2, Superman 2, Terminator 2, Scream 2, Back to the Future Part 2, Aliens, all really good sequels, but Doctor Sleep might be my favorite sequel, and Psycho 2 is up there, so right in line with you.
Yeah. I'm gonna annoy Aaron there. I watched Doctor Sleep and I just didn't like it. I don't know what it was. And everybody's saying how amazing it is. And I maybe need to go back and watch it again because maybe I was just one of them nights where you're just tired and you just maybe that ruined kind of like
how your experience with the movie.
Yeah, that tainted it. So I'm like, I really maybe need to go back and watch that again. Because I like the first movie and I've read The Shining. I haven't read Doctor Sleep book. So maybe I need to go back and do it again.
I really liked Doctor Sleep. That's another great legacy sequel that came out. I didn't put that on my list yet because that's another one where I've only seen it the 2 times. And I'm like, there are some things in that movie I don't 100% love, but there's a lot in there I do. I think Mike Flanagan's one of the better modern day horror directors. My biggest flaw with him and with that is it looks like a modern, cleaned up film. That's always been my biggest thing. How they shoot it in digital, and it's it still feels like a 2020s film.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always one thing that always gets in the way for me. Norman wasn't a serial killer. Mother was.
Well, that's why I said former.
He gave it up.
He gave it up.
I don't know. Yeah, nothing. I don't think not many movies can surpass The Shining, though. That's the thing. Thank you, David. I just really dig that at all. So okay. So it looks like Poppin' Fresh agrees with you on this one.
Yeah. I'm willing to give it another chance. That's the thing. I didn't like it. And I was like, I don't, and then I keep hearing it keeps coming up and up, and that's what it is. I've been meaning to maybe check it out again. So I must do that. And then sure, I'll come on sometime and tell you that I didn't like it again.
Probably, but that's at least you tried again. It's like me with A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. Every 3 or 4 years, I forget I don't like it. I put it in the player, I watch again, I'm going, yep.
Yeah.
That just reassures what I already knew, but I'll try.
Yeah, I'll try. It's like me and Alien 3. I've matched that in a way.
That's one I always try again too. And it's such a there's moments. It's got its moments.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he wrote, this is what Poppin' Fresh wrote too. 2010, the year we made Contest a very respectable sequel to arguably the best sci-fi film of all time in 2001, A Space Odyssey. Same director of that's the one I was telling you about. It directed Outland.
Yeah.
Philip Hyams, I believe is his name.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good shout. That didn't even enter my mind. It's a movie that I've only seen once, but it has my man Roy Scheider in it.
Yeah.
For some reason, at the start of the movie, he's dressed like the way he's dressed in Jaws 2. And I'm like, is he wearing the same costume?
Maybe he is.
It might have been like one of them movies where they say, look, bring your own wardrobe. He's had that hidden in the closet from Jaws 2 days.
Yeah, he wanted to bring it back around.
Uh-huh.
So Psycho 2, did you want to say anything else on that one? Because I really enjoy that movie as well. And it's a very much also feels like a 1980s film.
Yeah. Well, look, as you mentioned earlier on, John, about Top Gun Maverick, I think there was no expectations for Psycho 2 being so long since the original Psycho for a sequel to be made for it. And I think because of that, people's expectations were low. but they made a quality movie. And like yourself, you're only new to Psycho 2 as well. And I think that's because of how great the original Psycho is. People stayed away from it and maybe didn't want it to ruin uh, their idea of the original. Like myself, I was the same. I was one of those guys that, if I've mentioned before in our podcast, that wanted to stay away from horror sequels for a while because I love the originals. But when I watch Psycho 2, it's not unlike your standard horror sequel.
Yeah, it really isn't. It really deserves a better place in history. But unfortunately, like we've talked about many times, when you live in the shadow of one of the greatest films ever made, it's hard to get your own footing as a film. I think 2010 is a great example of that. Like, it's hard when you're a sequel to 2001: A Space Odyssey. Nobody talks about 2010.
Yeah, nobody does. Yeah,
it's a shame. So my number 7, I'll almost make a guarantee this isn't on your list. But it's The Color of Money. No, it's the sequel to The Gambler, directed by Martin Scorsese, and this is the one that earned Paul Newman his Academy Award as Fast Eddie Felson, the guy who got shunned from gambling shunned from playing pool after the end of The Hustler, but now he's back and he's going to be teaching Vincent, a Tom Cruise character, about the ways of hustling people.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a sequel to The Hustler.
Yep.
Hustler, sorry, yes, yeah. I do know I haven't seen it. So a lot of these ones that you've put in your top 10, I haven't seen. So you never know. If I've seen them, they might be in there.
The Color of Money. I mean, if you don't like The Hustler, even if you like The Hustler, it's like it's a Martin Scorsese movie now, and it becomes like a more of a sports film, which is something different from Martin Scorsese. What I really like about this movie is, because I love Martin Scorsese, is his choice of music he puts in this movie. Like, there's a great Phil Collins song in here.
Yeah.
Great camera work, a great Eric Clapton song. It's in the way that you use it. Like, I love it. I really have always enjoyed this movie, and it gets a bum rep. I was just watching the Martin Scorsese documentary, that 5-part series, and when they got to The Color of Money, he's like, I had to apologize to Siskel and Ebert for that one. They were really disappointed in me. I'm like, why? You made a great movie, and that's how they kind of passed by it.
It's one of those ones that never gets mentioned. When people talk about Scorsese, they never ever mention it.
Never. And it's almost like he's like even he doesn't seem to love it that much. It almost feels like it was like a project to prove to studios that I can make a studio film again. But it's like Paul Newman won his only Academy Award for this movie. Like, it deserves more recognition, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah.
Dune 2, woo, light years better than Dune 1. I agree with that, actually. Dune 2 is much better than Dune 1. Neither made my list because I am not the biggest fan of the Dune movies. Like, I like them a lot, but I don't cherish them. Like, I know Frank over at Frank's Media Reviews is a huge fan of the Dune movies. For me, they're okay. I don't know if they work well for you, David.
Haven't seen them.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
That's why I never said that. Like, I have no opinion on that. You know me, John. It's very hard for me to kind of talk about modern movies. I'm not a very modern movie type of guy.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit. I leave the theater. I still go see all the new movies and everything, but a lot of the time I leave disappointed in comparison than I did in the 90s and 2000s. In 2010s even. So what's your number 6? Since I know you haven't seen The Color of Money.
No, I haven't seen it, so I'm sorry about that. I can't discuss that any further.
No, it's no problem.
I'll definitely have to check some of these out some stage though. So number 6 is Rocky 2.
All right, so we can finally talk about this one. Love Rocky 2, but it's higher on your list, so you lead the way.
Yeah, so after their controversial first fight, lovable rogue Rocky Balboa faces off against heavyweight champion Apollo Creed in the rematch of the century.
Yep, and this one, Rocky gets the win.
He does get the win, and I don't know if this is still your favorite Rocky, John, is it?
I'm between this and Rocky 4. I think this one is past Rocky 4, though, on the last 2 rewatches. I did watch that Rocky 4, like the new Stallone director's cut, and it's good. And I still I have to just take my love for the 80s out of it and actually look at Rocky 2 as like a sports film and watch it. And like I talked about, like when we talk in our podcast about this, the score to it, like that, like sting in the score and the opening credits. I think about that often. And it's a phenomenal movie. And like the win at the end, it feels good. And also I feel like we get to spend more time with Apollo in Rocky 2, which I love that.
Yes, he's more fleshed out, and this is one of these movies that I think not only is it one of my favorite sequels of all time, I think it's one of the best ever sequels of all time, and I think it's what the public was clamoring for back in the late 70s after the excuse me, after the original. And it literally is a part two because it continues the story on from the end of the first movie, and it progresses the characters. And of course, it's what everybody wanted to see was Rocky actually win at the end. So yeah, I think it's a phenomenal sequel. And I also feel as if it doesn't get enough love at times, because when people think about the Rocky series and they start talking about the sequels, they always talk about 3 and 4 and then how much they don't like 5. But nobody ever talks about how great 2 is.
No, they always forget about 2. It's the one that's always forgotten, and I think it's because it's literally a direct sequel to the first one, and it's continuing the story of the first one. And then when it gets to the third one, you bring in Mr. T and Hulk Hogan. Those are big
Yeah.
names in the 1980s. And then of course Rocky 4, it's Dolph Lundgren, it's the Cold War, the soundtrack, and like all this stuff becomes so mainstream. And then Rocky 5, it's kind of like Rocky on the decline, but it was so bad to a lot of people that it still gets talked about because him and Tommy Gunn.
Yeah, well, Rocky 4 is the MTV Rocky. It's just like a montage. It's just a music montage. You go from one music montage to the next. Very little plot, very little story, very simplistic. Still I love all the Rocky movies, by the way. So I love Rocky 4, but for me, it's like one of my least favorites. And again, to reiterate what I was saying at the start, just because Rocky 2 is my favorite Rocky, I don't think it's the best, though. I do think the original is still the best movie, but I just love Rocky 2. And funny, I mentioned to John that I had been watching the old Barry Norman film episodes from the 90s, and in 1990 he had like a worst of 1990, and of course Rocky 5 was on there.
Yeah, pissed off a lot of people.
Okay, pissed off me.
I still like, I like Rocky 5, and I know you like Rocky 5, so it's not fair.
Yeah, yeah.
Aaron, we're just doing direct sequels, so you won't see any of the franchise films. We tried to cut it.
Oh yeah. I should imagine that's what it was. It's like top 10 sequels, so it's just the first sequels in a series rather than getting into like 3s and 4s and 5s, because there is certain sequels. Like I actually like Psycho 3 more than Psycho 2.
Yeah, and like if we were gonna do fraud like that, Jason Lives would make my top 10 if we were doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just love that movie.
Yeah, and I'm sure like there's going to be movies maybe in there like Neighbor on Elm Street Part 3 and movies like that maybe. So yeah, so we decided just to do our direct sequels, because we could maybe do a best top 10 best threes sometime, and that will be a nice list to do.
Yeah, best thirds in a trilogy or something, like the best ways to end a trilogy. We can do that sometime down the line.
Yeah, my 10, the 6 would be Young Guns 3, Ghostbusters 3, Batman Forever, Psycho 3, and Rocky 3.
All great movies. Well, not Young Guns 3 yet. We'll see.
I will see. I'll see. Fingers crossed, though.
Yep. And my number 6, I'm starting to think, I don't think this is on your list because I don't think it would be this high, but The Dark Knight.
It's not in my top 10.
I
sorry.
thought it might. Hey, listen, fair enough. I understand. I couldn't leave it off. Like I still like I know that The Dark Knight, like I've said many times, if this list was made probably 15 years ago, that would probably be my number 1. That's how much it's my film watching has changed over the years, unfortunately. I could see the cracks in the foundation when it comes to this movie. And even from the back of the day, I think, once you get past the hype train, I don't think I was ever really the biggest fan of the ferry sequence at the very end of it. But like I saw this movie 3 times in one day, so I was pretty obsessed with it for a short amount of time.
Yeah, well, I mean, I actually I enjoyed The Dark Knight. I feel as if there was an awful lot of hype around it. I still feel as if there's an awful lot of hype around it now, but not as much as there used to be. And I'm a big fan of like the Burton movies, as you know, John.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel as if they're coming kind of back around again, that people are starting to appreciate them again. And even now, I was watching, I had something on earlier, and then to do with Batman, and then the next thing was like the Nolan montage came on, and like, yeah, of the movies, and I just was kind of, these films are a wee bit of a slog.
I understand, and I actually believe that Begins, Buddy, is a little bit better than The Dark Knight, but I've kind of flipped on that. But I understand like why people still cherish The Dark Knight and why people would put The Dark Knight at number 1. But yeah, as much as I love it, I still think it's a great sequel. I do kind of I fall like in the middle now. I wouldn't even put, if I was making if we were doing a best Batman movies list, I think I'd probably have that at like 4 now, which is pretty crazy, or 5. So
Yeah, I mean, like I look, I like Begins. I like The Dark Knight, and I'm not really a fan of Raises. I think Raises has some good scenes, but if I was to pick which one was the best out of that trilogy, for me it's Begins, because I just think it's a better all round movie. There's not as many plot holes. It's not too long. I like the story they told about Bruce Wayne's origins. I liked that story, what they told in that movie. And I just feel that the Dark Knight was on a bit too long, and I don't really like the third act at all in the Dark Knight. So that's why for me it's below that.
well, the messaging of the movie at The Dark Knight has not aged very well because, you know, the whole thing about surveillance and everything. Yeah, we just took that to the quadruple level of that at this point, so it doesn't even matter anymore to say that surveillance
Yeah.
drops in 2026. Yeah, I love I really like the Batman, so I'm looking forward to the Batman sequel. That Michael Giacchino score was great. So anyway, so that's our we just finished off our bottom fives. Let's talk a little bit about Terminator 2 and the special edition since we're talking sequels.
Yeah, well, I mean, we done Terminator 2 on our podcast a load of weeks back, probably a couple of months now, John.
It might
And
be 2 months now. I think that was September.
it was the start of September too as well.
Yeah, wow. Christmas is almost here, man. It's insane.
Man, I know. Listen, we're halfway through November already. I mean, only a couple of weeks to go. We'll be in December, and we'll be in the thick of it for Christmas, which I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to Christmas this year, so I can watch Batman Returns. And
Absolutely.
but we were talking on that, and we decided, look, we'll do the theatrical version, because when we do the podcast, we want to do the original versions. We don't want to do all these different types of versions, and and it was really odd, John, because you had said to me that you are more familiar with the special edition than the theatrical version. And I was kind of raised on the theatrical version, but the thing is, with physical media now, like the special edition is almost pushed to the fore. So I feel as if a lot of people are only familiar with the special edition.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like me, in a sense, because when I got the DVD, like I had the VHS for Terminator 2, but it was only a couple of years before the Extreme DVD actually came out. So I got that, and then I started just watching that special edition for years. That's all I watched for a very
Mhm.
long time until the 4K came out, and then the 4K had just the theatrical cut in 4K. So I was like, oh, I'll watch the theatrical cut again. 4K is terrible, but as time has gone on, I do agree with Mr. Cowabunga dude here that I think the theatrical cut is
Yeah.
the better edition, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I was like I've mentioned before, and I'll mention it again. It's just so we were doing the podcast, and we touched on the special edition, and I had said to you that I've always thought that the theatrical version was better, because I feel as if it's tighter. It's better paced, and it's tighter, and it's more enjoyable that way. So we had kind of said, look, I said, well, maybe we should do a live stream and talk about the special edition. And the thing is, when the special edition came around, alternate cuts of movies always fascinate me. And I don't necessarily think this Terminator 2 special edition is bad by any means. It's still a really good movie. And every one of these scenes, apart from maybe one, actually, is really good. I really enjoy the extra scenes in this movie. But, if I was the advise, if I was to be asked, which one do I think's the better cut, it's the theatrical.
Yeah, I just think that it's much tighter. Now, James Cameron has said that he doesn't consider like the special edition or the ultimate edition, which has the different ending on it, as, better versions, or just, he said they're just different versions. The theatrical cut is still his stamp of approval. He's still like, that's still his film. He just likes to make these special editions. And you can see that because he did it for pretty much every film but the Terminator.
Well, I feel as if that ultimate cut that you touched on there, that ultimate cut was more like a Blu-ray type special feature type thing. I don't think that has ever been an official released cut, really.
No, it's not like ever been like released. Like the special editions, like really that's a completely different cut that's like out there that like you can watch on a bunch of different versions. It always gets released. The ultimate edition, I think it's only on one Blu-ray, if I am correct. And I've said it, I don't like that alternate ending that they have out there.
I will get to that. Or do you want to talk about it now?
I mean, we can do. We want to start off at the top, like what the differences are.
Start at the top. Yeah, we could start at the top, but Yeah, we could start at the top, no problem.
Yeah, because I have a
Go
list
ahead.
here of like all the different kinds of scenes. Because I did rewatch, I did my homework. I rewatched the whole movie again with the ultimate, the special edition to see like how the scenes fit in. Which right after watching the theatrical cut for our show, it's pretty cool to notice how some like lines of dialogue are just edited different.
Yeah, well, I just was watching some of the deleted scenes earlier. There was one that I actually missed out on, forgot to watch, but I remember it anyway. So yeah.
And Pop and Fresh's Terminator soundtrack is a banger as well. Tracks Sarah on the Run and Tracker Gang Goes to Cyberdyne are my favorites. And was yours the Desert Suite was your favorite one?
Yeah, well, I like the Desert Suite. I love that soundtrack. I had mentioned that that was one of the first soundtracks that I ever owned on cassette. Was the Terminator 2 soundtrack. I love the old soundtrack. I mean, it's hard to beat the opening titles, but I think that
Yeah.
my favorite probably is Trust Me, and of
Trust
course
me.
isn't there the I'll Be Back track as well?
Yeah, no, those are freaking great as well.
Yeah, the Trust Me is the one where he's shooting up the police cars, I think.
Yeah,
Okay, and then yeah,
with the grenade launcher that's just like he's shooting out the window and then checks if there's no casualties.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think that's the I'll Be Back one track, and then the Trust Me track is when they blew up Cyberdyne, and then he walks down the alleyway, or not the alleyway, the corridor, and then he shoots the guys in the knees, and then takes the SWAT van, and then drives it in through the front of the building. So no, listen, it's a great soundtrack from start to finish. But they're the standout ones to me. But I do like the Desert Suite as well. It's very calming.
Yeah, they're all good. It's one of the best scores of all time. Brad Fidel absolutely killed it like that. And the follow up is Terminator score with that. Did a great job. What's up, Mark's Movie Menu? Glad you could pop in here, buddy. We're halfway through a list, just talking the T2 Special Edition.
Yeah, halfway through our top 10 favorite sequels of all time, because that was the idea of when he just started the Terminator 2 Special Edition. So the idea was, I'd said, well, why don't we just do our top 10 favorite sequels of all time as well? Since we had Back to the Future 2 drop last week.
Yep, 100%. It just made sense. Everything added up.
Yeah. So obviously, the one of the first alternate scenes here, John, correct me if I'm wrong, it's when Sarah Connor gets abused by her orderlies.
Yeah, that's when they're and that's when we get the lick, right?
No, they actually, it's when Dr. Soberman actually says to, after he first sees Sarah.
Oh, yes, when they
Remember what
go
she
in.
says about stabbing him in the knee?
Yep, and
He turns to Douglas and says, "Can you make sure that the patients don't trash their rooms like this?" And it cuts to him opening the door, and him and another orderly walks in, and they kind of give her a bit of a beating.
yeah, he hits her in the stomach with the nightstick, right?
Yeah, with the baton, and then he makes her eat her medication, and of course that is what then leads to her being unconscious, and she has the dream with Kyle in it.
Yeah, which I always felt like that was unnecessary. I that's actually one of the most out of all the scenes I would cut that one. As much as I love seeing Michael Biehn again, it's like I don't need a dream sequence here of him telling her, like giving her the strength.
Really?
Yeah, I really don't like this one.
Do you not? No, I actually do like this scene.
Understandable.
I'm not saying it should stay in the movie. I like the scene. I think it's good seeing Kyle Reese again. As I mentioned to you when we were doing our T2 podcast, I was like when this version was released, it was like an event on television, Terminator 2 Special Edition, and I remember watching it and seeing all these new scenes that I'd never seen before, and I was blown away by most of them. And this one here was one that I couldn't believe. I was seeing Cade Reese back again, because the last time we seen him, he was lying dead at the end of Terminator 1. So to see him back again, that was mind blowing. But I get what you're saying about dream sequences. I know that Siskel and Ebert kind of criticized dream sequences, but it only seemed to be when it suited them, because it was fine when it was in Aliens, and it's and a lot of people find it okay in this movie. But what I do like about this, and one thing I wish they had changed about this scene, was when she's hugging him and he disappears, and she turns and looks, and he's standing at the doorway. And he says, "There's not much time left in the world, Sarah." And he turns. I think it would have been better if half his face had been like damaged, like it was in the original movie.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
I
To
mean,
kind of tell her that you're dreaming here. This isn't real. He's dead.
You know what else kind of bothers me? And it's a stupid complaint because it's how time works. It's been 6 years. It's like he's aged a good amount of time, and they don't put the makeup on him. Like when he died, he's not going to age up, from how he looked in Terminator. But obviously they can't do that. So again,
Yeah,
it just kind of adds up. Like I'm glad they kind of cut it because it's going to
yeah.
always distract me.
Well, the thing is, she runs down the corridor after him, and all of a sudden she's not imprisoned anymore. And I think, and then she runs out the doors into the playground, and we see her having that dream, which she has later on. And she wakes up when the blast hits. She goes on later on in the movie to talk about how she was having these nightmares and what happens. And I think that apart from pacing issues, that could be part of the reason why they cut it out, because they probably looked at that scene and went, they were really needed. They were really
Yeah,
need this scene. We know John's in danger. Of course, that adds up to why she's in there with Silverman later on, saying, "My son's in danger. I must see him. He's naked without me," because because Kate has gave her a dream and told her. But she would have been thinking that at kind of anyway, wouldn't she have? And then she mentions about having these dreams, so we didn't really need to see it.
exactly. 100%. Actually, Cowabunga, dude, I didn't even know there was a T2 retro style video game coming out next month. So I'll have to check that out. And Aaron Click said Halloween 2 is one of his favorites. Floated with my top 10, actually, because I do think that's a very worthy follow up to the original Halloween.
Yeah, it's Halloween 2 to me is the best sequel in the Halloween series.
Over Halloween 3?
Yeah.
You son of a bitch. Okay.
Yeah. Wait till we do your threes, sure, and then maybe we can debate that if that's in your top three. Or
Mm.
sorry, your top 10 for your threes.
Oh, that would be probably number 1. Off the top of my head, at least.
Yeah.
So
I like Season of the Witch. I do like it, but I just think that the original is the best one, and I think that 2 is the best follow-up. But do you think Halloween 3 is the best of the whole series? That's the
Oh, I
difference.
do. Yeah, I do. I really do.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just love that guy, man. This is the guy from RoboCop. You don't get that voice in freaking in the first one.
Oh yes. Dan O'Hillary or something.
Yeah, Hollerin or something like he's the Irish guy.
O'Halloran. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Tom Atkins
Tom Atkins is
and his
always great.
mustache? Looking,
His mustache. Oh, just a killer of the 1980s. Just panty dropping all over the freaking
yeah,
movie.
yeah,
So
looking at like Tom Skerritt.
yeah, a little bit. I think Tom Skerritt's a better looking guy, in my opinion. No fate. Oh, really? I'm gonna have to check this out. I did not know about this game coming out. Everyone's talking about it in their chat. Interesting.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it either.
So I don't get to play games as much as I used to, unfortunately.
That's probably why I'm not in the games at all.
Yeah, I get that. It's not enough time in the day. So
I have enough to do.
yeah, exactly. So what's the next scene?
Yes, so the next scene, as far as I'm aware, is the T-1000 kills John Connor's dog. So,
Yep.
Yeah, totally unnecessary scene.
Yeah, this is how we see him kill it, and then that's when he looks at the collar and it says Max on it instead of Wolfie.
Yeah. Well, it's to show how the T-1000 realizes that he's been duped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't need this at all, and it's come on, terrible to kill the dog.
Yeah, but that's all it is. It's just to show that the T-1000 has realized that he's been duped on the telephone call. And he walks out, the dog's barking at him. I'm probably just annoyed by the dog barking, and he kills it, rips its collar off, sees the name Max instead of Wolfie. But there's a scene as well, which I want to talk about, John, as well, a deleted scene that I'm not sure people are too aware of. After he kills the dog, he goes back in through the house, and he goes into John's bedroom, and he starts kind of feeling things around the bedroom because he senses things through his hands. That's how he does it. And he comes to a poster on the wall, and he rips the poster down, and there's a hole in the wall with a shoebox, and it's I think it says something like letters from mom. And he opens it, and it is obviously stuff from Sarah Connor. And this is how he gets his intelligence, I believe, of how to go to Pascadero and imitate her. And I believe that in the original screenplay, there was a deleted scene where what showed you him go to the desert and kill all the ones that helped uh, Sarah and John and the T-800. And if you kind of look at the photographs he's flicking through, you can see like kind of like photographs that look like that desert. So it looks like he was gathering intelligence to try and find out where they are, and that would explain a lot then.
Well, that also makes sense from the beginning of like the Terminator, how not the beginning, but how in Terminator he's able to find Sarah Connor's mom is like going through the address book. So it's a
Mhm.
good follow up of that. So these video games are great on par with the movie. I just finished a game called Ghost of Ishami. You have stunning graphic story. Oh, okay. I actually heard about that game. Frankenstein, Guillermo del Frankenstein. That was a great movie, sci-fi for life. I actually reviewed it on the channel. I could recommend it. But back to like what you were saying to continue on like Terminator 2 and that scene. I actually that scene is I would have actually probably kept that scene in though. Honestly, that's
Yeah.
one. Yeah, because I do like him gathering the information. I like how he's finding his way around because we see how Eddie Furlong and how Arnold are working together, but we don't really know how he's always able to find out how he's doing his own research. We see at the beginning in the police car how he's
Mhm.
able to search for Eddie for John Connor, but we don't get to see it again really later in the movie. I thought it would be a really good follow up.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true. What I liked about that was how creepy it was. The way he was just lounging about that house, it was very creepy, and it did remind me, funny enough, when I was watching it again earlier, of the Terminator sitting in like the log cabin, where after killing Sarah's mom and dad in the first movie, and as you say, has the phone book, um, but it does give that wee bit of information about how he's actually finding these places out. But I suppose they just if this was a pacing issue, like most movies that try to trim, they look at scenes and go, well, we don't need that because we've got this. And the Terminator just explains this away by saying he knows what I know. He'll anticipate what I anticipate. I suppose he's kind of suggesting that he knows that Sarah's in the mental institute and he's going to go and try and copy her anyway and things like that. And they never ever filmed. I don't think they ever filmed the scene in the desert where the T-1000 killed those people. So there was no need to kind of show that either.
Nope, you can just cut it out, and that's a good way, yeah, to trim it because it was 233 down to 217 for the actual theatrical cut between special edition.
And if I remember correctly, John, as well, and I meant to look into it for the podcast tonight, but out of my head, um, the whole original opening was supposed to be a lot longer.
That
The
makes sense.
Terminator. Did you know that?
That does make sense. There's deleted scenes from the Terminator, I believe, out there because I know, and as well. But yeah, I actually at the beginning of the Terminator, I think it's paced phenomenally. I wouldn't touch it, but I can understand why they would want to do that to set up more of a background.
Well, I talk about the start of Terminator 2. That whole war scene was
Oh,
originally longer. It was like 40 pages long, maybe 45
really?
pages. Yeah, it was like really long. But what they done was they didn't film all that. They didn't film it, but they cut it down because they realized that first they couldn't afford it and it wasn't the story they wanted to tell. But apparently, the whole start of the movie was going to show more of the future war, and it was going to show you them sending Kyle Reese back, and it was going to show you them sending the capturing the good Terminator and reprogramming them. You know what I mean? And it was going to show you them sending it back. So apparently that was all in the original draft screenplay, but they just cut it all out.
Makes sense. I actually like how the movie opens, like, and the amount we actually get there with the narration. So it makes sense. I guess they just kind of streamlined it a little bit more.
But it is true. Like, that's not the story you're telling, really. And look, it's all told in exposition in the original movie. So why do you need it? But it would have been still nice to see it because that's kind of like what I think the third movie should be anyway. If they're going to make a third movie, it should just be about the future war and about them and sending Kyle back and sending the T-800 back.
I agree. 100%. And sci-fi for life. Yes, I do like Dark Fate, but I don't love it. Like I don't really love any Terminator sequel except for Terminator 2. So, and what scene are we up to now?
So we're up to this is the scene you like, John, as well. It's when they're in the garage and they take out the chip from the T-800 and Sarah goes to destroy it.
I do like this scene. I think that this is the one that out of all the scenes I would have kept this one because I do like seeing how the chip gets switched, the conflict between Sarah And John, I think it really is important. The line is important too about how, if I'm supposed to be some sort of future leader, how about trusting me for a change? It's delivered pretty poorly, but I
Yeah.
still actually like it.
I think if there was one scene to keep in this movie, excuse me, it's that. If they were going to keep one, that's the one. Apart from I loved how it was shot, um, and I love the special effects and the simplicity of special effects, like uh, the fact there was no mirror there,
Nope.
and there was a dummy on one side and Arnie on the other, and Linda Hamilton that had her twin sister in to do the scene as well. Just the logistics of filming the scene as well was so fascinating to me, and cutting the head of one of the Terminator. However, there is one fatal flaw I thought about earlier when I was rewatching this scene. For the first time I thought of this, and I could be wrong, but it popped into my head. You can tell me what you think. Why would the Terminator allow them to do that? Why would the Terminator want to learn more? He's programmed to do a mission. Why?
Yeah, that I've always kind of wondered as well. I've always wondered how it's so simple of us. One thing that always from the beginning always bothered me was how it's the simplicity of actually using that. Just just got to take the chip out and that's it, and flip this, and then that switches it on. Like that just doesn't make very much logical sense. Like in the modern day, it would just be something in the operating system, but it's like no, it's actually right on the chip. I'm like, come on.
But the thing is, but why would he let them?
I don't know. Like
because when I'm watching it again, he's kind of like turn the cylinder counterclockwise, and she's about to do it, and he's like, "Do it." She's like, "Honey, calm down. Okay, she's gonna do it. Give it a second."
Right.
But he's leaving himself wide open for that, and I don't get it. So I understand why they removed it and just put a simple line in to say the more he interacts with humans, the more he learns. It makes a lot more sense that way. But I do believe this scene was cut for pacing. But I like how, as you say, what I like about the scene, I think I mentioned it in the T2 podcast, was it shows John's leadership qualities and the fact that his mom scolded him for coming to rescue her. And then him later, and her still trying to lead the way, and him saying, well, as you said, John, if I'm supposed to be this great military leader, maybe you should listen to me after a while. So it shows his growth and her maybe stepping aside and giving him a bit of respect. But it also shows why, in the next day, why she's so peeved off with him and she's getting into the car.
Yeah.
See how annoyed she is?
Yeah, she's like, okay, whatever. Like, I have to, but she knows. That's the thing. It's like, that's a hard truth that she does need to hear, because if he didn't come get you, you wouldn't have even been there.
Yeah.
So, and Papa Fresh said to you, David, I just checked and I have both cassettes for Ghostbusters 1 and 2. Then the soundtrack to the movie Dragnet with Tom Hanks and Dan Aykroyd. Various 80s artists on all of these.
Yeah, so that's the soundtracks. Poppin' Fresh, is that what he's talking about?
Yeah, the movie soundtracks for both Ghostbusters 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I never had those soundtracks. He has them on cassette too.
Cassette. Well, I actually have, Poppin' Fresh, I have the CD version of Ghostbusters 1 and Ghostbusters 2, and they're both terrific soundtracks. And I also have the scores from Ghostbusters 1 and Ghostbusters 2 as well. And some of my favorite tracks off Ghostbusters, the first one is Saving the Day. It's absolutely brilliant. Cleaning Up the Town as well. And then Ghostbusters 2 soundtrack is really good too. Like, as I said earlier, it was Bobby Brown, and there's like a good Elton John song on there as well. And Danny Elfman does a song on the Ghostbusters 2 soundtrack.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, it's his band.
Wango Bango?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Or Oingo Boingo.
Oingo Boingo.
Yeah, Oingo Boingo, that's it. Weird science.
The Coco Bongo Club.
That's where they performed every night. They had a residency.
He would have fit in there.
Oh, yeah, they would have loved him there.
Yeah.
Him and Tim Burton.
But I just want to say finally on that scene about the chip scene, John, but unless you've got more to say about it, is that if you notice that when they eventually put the chip back in again, and you hear the Terminator asking, was there a problem? Right? It says, if you look, because it does a brief point of view with his red glare, vision, and it tells him how long he was offline for. So he knows that. Why did it take so long? There was something not right there.
Yeah, obviously they're not going to tell him.
No, no. Well, he looks at Sarah and goes, "No, no problem."
Yep. No problem. Little fucking
Look at
booty.
that.
Fucking guy. His acting. It's a little rough in the deleted scene, so that's another reason why they probably cut some.
And the probably just couldn't ADR it.
Yeah. Well, AD did a lot of ADR for him in that movie because of his voice changing while they were filming.
Yeah, and you can notice it too. There's scenes where he looks younger, and other scenes and stuff like that because he just hit that growth spurt at that age. But before we go on, there is other wee snippets here and there throughout the movie as well. Up to this point, like I believe there's like a scene where is it after the T-1000 gets away from them after the escape from Pascadero, I think it is, where he kind of like shows him taking another police car, and then what else is there? The next day after this scene here, where they go to the garage and the Terminator's filling cold water up in the engine of the car, and they talk about. I think Sarah asks John, "Do you have any money?" And he takes a load of money because remember he took it from the cash machine and he says, "Oh, I have some," and then
And
she
she takes
grabs
it
it
all.
all, and he's like, "Hey, I don't think it shows that. I think it just shows them eating breakfast the next morning." So there's wee snippets here and there throughout the movie that obviously was trimmed in the theatrical version.
Yep, they've edited things down. And then isn't that like at the stations also where we see the smiling sequence?
Yeah, so that's the next scene, John. And to be honest with you,
I hate
this
this
is
one too.
yeah, I absolutely hate this scene, and I really wish that they didn't even put it in the special edition. I just think it's so corny. I would have had the bedroom scene before I would have had this scene in the movie.
Oh, 100%. We don't need to see this forced smile and how he's going through the programming to get the actual shape of the smile to program to his face. We just don't need that.
No, and then from here on out, throughout the movie, you kind of see Arnie make that a kind of a smirk or a grin, or he makes some kind of expression with his face. And I always kind of wonder how that works on one of them T800s. Now, I know that he's got like wee pistons along his cheeks here. I always just thought that was to make the mouth open and close, but I suppose that could control the flesh, the tissue. But it's something I never liked about that they included in
That was
the
one of
makeup
those
of the T800 in T2.
Yeah, I never really. It feels like this was one of those blockbuster moments. Like, like, hey, it's something for the crowd to laugh at, and I'm glad they cut it from the theatrical cut.
Yeah, I'm glad it's not in there. Again, one of them scenes I was blown away from because when I said I grew up watching the theatrical version, like for a few years before I seen this. So anything new, it was like, when you're expecting to go on to the next scene and then all of a sudden something else comes on, you're kind of, whoa, you're like, what's this? And you get excited to see it. So that's what I even remember that with this scene.
Yeah, 100%. That's one thing I was like, nope, never need to see that again. But even if I watch the extended, I'll still have to go through it.
Mm-hmm.
So, Poppin' Fresh said to you, by the way, you're not kidding. Those 80s tracks are incredible on Ghostbusters 1 and 2. Also,
Yeah.
Dragnet has some entering tracks by London and called The Art of the Noise.
Right, okay.
Called the London band called Art of the Noise, that is, rather.
Yeah. Dragnet's not one I'm familiar with. I seen it on television years ago, and I never really took it, so I've never went back to it again. But I love Don Aykroyd.
I did too. Unfortunately, I'm the same way. I've only seen it once, and I don't have the biggest memory of it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's him and Tom Hanks, isn't it?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Which I should see it again because I love Tom Hanks.
Yeah, that 80s kind of era of Tom Hanks where he was just doing comedies.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good run of comedies.
Yeah, he done some good ones like the Burbs, and I remember like Joe and the Volcano and Money Pit and Splash.
Oh, Splash is great. Love Splash. Yeah. What's up, Jeff? Glad you're in here, buddy. John Doe Juggalo. Great YouTube channel as well. Just an all-around great guy.
John, I'm just going to grab another glass of water, okay?
Okay, yeah. Actually, that's no problem. Yeah. When you come back, actually, I'm going to run off real quick, too. So I'll vape for a second, then you can for a second.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to leave everyone hanging. So, yeah. I just want to respond to some people in the chat. Poppin' Fresh. Yeah, I don't really have any of the Ghostbusters soundtracks or anything like that. But I I do appreciate them. I can listen to them on Apple Music. And back to Sci-Fi for Life. I'm glad you really enjoyed Frankenstein. I thought that was a great version of Frankenstein by Guillermo del Toro. There's one moment towards the very end. I didn't bring it up in my review, but I'm sure you could figure out where it's just like they needed to over explain something in the movie. And it's like, I got that just from watching the movie, just because, it's Frankenstein. But that was my only big flaw with it. Comedy. Tom Hanks does have some of the greatest comedies of all time, in my opinion. So, he gets a bad rep in this comedy world, which I never understood because, obviously I always talk about the big dramatic run he goes on in the early 1990s, just right from the beginning. Once he hits like Philadelphia, he's just on a run of movies that we get every single year. Sleepless in Seattle, That Thing You Do, Apollo 13, Forrest Gump, which won him back-to-back Academy Awards with Philadelphia. We just got so much in such a short run of like great dramatic performances that people kind of forget that in the 1980s, he was on a real run of just great comedy movies. And that's really where he started out as. That's why it's always fun to see him go back and do comedy, like on Saturday Night Live and everything like that. Like he's come on and done that. Like we just got past, I forget what his name was, David Pumpkins or something like that. It's always fun to see him go back and do comedy. So you just vamp for 1 second. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know, say something. I'll be 30 seconds.
No problem. So, but we'll talk about John.
Should I go on?
We'll talk about how much we don't like him.
Should I go on?
Now, I hope you're enjoying the show so far. And if you have any suggestions, then just pop it in the comments. And I'm not sure how many of you actually check out the podcast that me and John do, but that's something as well that if you have any like constructive criticism or feedback, it's more than welcome. We just want to make sure that we're actually doing something that people enjoy. As much as me and him enjoy doing the podcast,
All right, I'm back.
Oh, he's back. Stop talking about him.
All right, that's fair. Say whatever you need to say, David. I forgive you anyway. Really like the Money Pit.
I was actually just saying, John, that if there's people watching now who watch our podcast, that any constructive criticism or feedback is more than welcome, just to make sure we know we're on the right track and we're doing something that people enjoy.
Exactly. I try and tell people that all the time. Like, you can give us some criticism so we know like what we need to improve and like what's not working and what's not working. We accept that. Just, don't call us assholes or anything like that.
Yeah, not abuse, but because it's I say we want to improve, we want to make things better. You know what I mean? It's always a work in progress.
Yeah. What do we turn into, assholes or something?
No. You turn out just fine.
It's your kids, Marty.
It's your kids. Something's got to be done about your kids.
Oh man. So what's the next one?
Okay, this is a scene that I actually really love. This next scene. Ooh. Now, I can see why it was omitted. However, I watched it again today, and I was like, that's a really nice scene. So it's the Dyson family introduction.
Oh, I think of you now with the Raging Waters thing.
Raging Waters. But I forgot actually how funny it is too. But it's like, so she's out the back and she's down by this big massive pool, and she's now sitting in her robe and she's like buzzing in the mail. She's in his office and she's going, Miles, and he's just typing away on his computer flat out, just totally oblivious to what's going on around him. And I always remember that whole house there, the outside of his house. Like, I am convinced that is where they actually filmed the Pulp Fiction. I got like what do you call him? Wallace.
Marcellus Wallace with the disappearing pool edge. And I think you're right.
Yeah, and it's like when she's sitting in her dressing gown, it just I want to see Marcellus sitting beside her.
I'm on the motherfucker.
Yeah, on the fucking phone.
Yeah,
John Travolta. But she goes in and she kind of licks him up the back of the neck, and he's like, and she says, "Oh no, what are you doing?" And he's like, "This thing is kicking my ass."
Yeah, my problem. I like this scene because it does show the good family dynamic, but we do get that a little bit later anyway. So it's like I could see why they cut it. But my thing is that he's acting like this hard-nosed blue-collar worker when he's living in this like $4 million house.
Yeah. You see, they're well-to-do, and the thing is, but what I like about this scene, I mentioned it in the T2 episode, John, was that it gives more insight into his background, into his life, and it shows that throughout this whole saga, we're led to believe that Skynet is evil, and we're kind of Sarah Connor's got this prejudice that the people that created, therefore, were evil, but we can see that his intentions were good. That he was a family man, that he loved his kids, just like Sarah loves her son, and he loves his wife, and he thinks what he's actually doing is for the greater good. And he talks about that. He talks about that in that scene. That's why he's doing it, and that's why he's so invested in it. You know, he thinks it's going to change the world for the better.
Yeah, and that's the thing, but I think we still get that in the film. Like the way the actor plays it, I'm drawing a name on his name, blank on his name, but the way he plays it, he's a very emotional character. Like actually, you feel sympathy for him throughout the entire time you're with him. Like towards the end, like you could see the guilt in him. He portrays it very well in his face.
Yeah, Joe Morton.
Yeah, I should know that because that guy's in so much stuff throughout the 1990s.
Yeah, I think you're right. He plays it so human, so down to earth, and so relatable as well. So you do feel empathy for him when Sarah does. You feel that same empathy that stops her from killing him.
Mm-hmm. You understand why she stops because honestly, it's easier to hate somebody from a distance, but once you're in their face and see their family around them, you're like, that's an actual human being. That's what separates us from the machines.
Yeah, and like I said in our podcast, that if she hadn't missed from that launch shot, the sniper shot, she probably wouldn't have thought anything of it too much. But the fact that she's up close and personal, seeing him with his kid lying in front of him and his wife, she couldn't pull the trigger because she's seen the humanity, and she's not a killer.
Mm-hmm. I love it, and yeah, it makes sense, John. I love your movie Wall's background just to express it once more. I appreciate that, buddy. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm just in front of all of my glory. It's my claim to fame. It's all I got.
Yeah, it's your wall of fame.
My wall of fame.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that, buddy. So, what's the next one?
So the next one here is, as I said, and you had mentioned yourself, John, about how there's scenes that are just kind of snippets edited out, here and there. Now this one here is one that I actually, like I say, that the special edition has been put to the forefront so prominently over the last 25 years that you almost forget what's not in the theatrical cut. You start to think that some of this stuff's in it, and it wasn't until I went back and watched the theatrical cut again, even though it's my preferred cut, but I hadn't watched it in so long, and I thought this full scene was in that version, and it's not. So it's when John and the T-100 are in the bunker, and in the theatrical version, they climb down, and then and there's a wee bit of chit chat, can't remember what it is, but then he lifts the minigun and turns, and John says, "That's definitely you," and that's where Arnie gives a wee bit of a smirk. And when you haven't seen the special edition, you think, why is he smirking for? Because it's not in the theatrical version.
No, they extend that scene out quite a bit actually as they conversate with each other.
Yeah, but in the special edition, there's more chat in that scene about. Now I took these notes from online, so let me see. There's a minute-long additional scene when Sarah, John, and the T-100 stop at her old friend's place to gather weapons and ammo, in which John Connor tells the T-100 what it was like growing up with Sarah as a mom. Yeah, so he talks about going down there and blowing stuff up, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And he says
traveling in helicopters and everything like that. And to him, how it was all normal. But to everybody else, like that would be like a crazy life is basically what he's talking about. And it's like to him, it was all about becoming this military leader growing up. And his mother would just attach herself to different men who could help teach him how to be this great man.
Yeah, but he he says a line in that scene about all the other kids were in the Nintendo.
Yeah, the other kid. Yeah, that's the line. That's what I mean. I feel like half these scenes got cut because of his fucking dialogue. What's up, Eli? Glad you could pop in here, buddy.
But he asked the Terminator, is he afraid of death? And that's when he says, are you? And Terminator's like, no. He says it's important to stay functional for the duration of his mission, but after that, his existence doesn't really matter.
That's true. And actually, they explore that more in Dark Fate.
Yeah, so all that I don't think obviously isn't in the theatrical cut, and for a long while I thought it was until I watched it. I went, that's all cut out, which is fine. I mean, it's all right. I mean, it adds a wee bit more to their relationship. But I said on our T2 podcast, John, that the next scene of them fixing the car together, they already have that bonding scene with that. He talks more about his dad and his mom and the future and his upbringing in that scene. So maybe they thought, well, we don't really need that as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's just, do we need it kind of thing is what it comes down to at the very end of trimming.
Yeah, yeah. And then, of course, there's another snippet too when the Terminator and John are driving to Dyson's house, and John scolds the Terminator about, "Don't you realize why you can't kill anybody?" I think it cuts there, but in the special edition, John goes on to say about, "This is really important. This stuff, you've really got to learn this. It's important." And the Terminator kind of looks at him again and gives it like a wee smirk.
Yeah, I do. I think they cut it the right way on that one too.
I think they did, because it only works in the special edition.
100%. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So you have to cut around these whole plot lines, which is exactly what they do in the Abyss too. So that's the power of editing, baby.
Yeah. So move on to the next one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the next one here is Sarah, John, and the T-100 and Dyson destroy the lab. So this is a scene that we discussed on the T2 episode, where the T-1000 pulls up to Dyson's home office, and they have destroyed the computers were destroyed by the gunfire, but they have destroyed the rest of the stuff. And there's a metal bin sitting there, and it's on fire with all these documents. And the T-1000 then hears the radio going, the police radio going, and saying that, "Oh, these guys have been seen at the Cyberdyne building." And it cuts to the police cars pulling up outside the building. Well, in the special edition, we cut then to these guys here, Sarah, John, T-800, and Dyson, destroying all the stuff inside the lab. And it's when you see the Terminator with the axe, and he's going through all the stuff. And Miles Dyson says to the Terminator, "Can I borrow that?" And he's like, "I've always wanted to do this." And smashes up. I think he hits the big microchip, doesn't he?
Yeah, he hits the big giant microchip, the big one, that the big 3D version they have out on the floor.
Yeah, and that as well, that is what, and I was saying this to you, John, when Miles Dyson dies, that is the weight he uses on top of the detonator, which is an ironic tie-in that the chip will eventually kill him.
Which is funny, because I never knew what that was till I got to the special edition. Like, what the fuck is he holding in his hand?
Yeah. Excuse me. And it's one of those things you never think about.
No, why would you?
No, you wouldn't think about what's he got in his hand, but when you watch the special edition, then you realize, oh, that's one of the cubes from that. He's gonna drop on the detonator.
Yep, it probably was on the floor somewhere, and that's what he grabbed.
Yep, just lying beside him.
So awesome. So what's next up?
So I think here, I just want to see here, because there's a list of like small changes that they've done here, but I think that let me see. I think that I have covered a lot of them, but the final small additions, John, is in the steel mill. So when the T-1000 is pursuing John, Sarah, and the T-800 through the steel mill, you start to slowly see him malfunction. So I think the first one you see is his hand gets stuck to the railing, and when he looks down, it's attached to the railing, and half his arm is the color of the railing. It's like a red and yellow stripe, and he lifts his hand and is like that, and it turns back, and then you see a scene where he's walking over the gratings and his boots start to change. Yeah, so none of that is in the theatrical version, but I think one of the biggest parts is when we mentioned this as well in our podcast, is when he morphs into Sarah and he asks for John's help. And we said that, why does John, when he sees the second Sarah emerge from the one in the foreground, why does John trust the one behind the initial Sarah and jump out of the way? And we said that, of course, it's been beat into him throughout the whole film that Sarah would never do this. Sarah would never leave him. Sarah would never come looking for his help. She would die before she would come looking for John's help, because that way to be putting John in danger. But in the special edition, John looks down and sees the Sarah who's in front of him. The feet is attached to the metal grill on the catwalk, and that's what makes him jump out of the way. And it kind of makes all that kind of teaching that Sarah's been telling him throughout the whole movie redundant. So it had to go.
Yeah, that makes sense, but I would have kept the two earlier sequences of showing him malfunction. I like seeing him malfunction because it makes sense because like we talked about in our show, it's like the false kill that happens before when he gets caught in the nitrogen and like he freezes and then he kills him and then obviously comes back together. I like that he's not the same anymore. Like they've done some permanent damage to him.
Do you think it was the liquid nitrogen that done it? Like a
That's what I've always thought.
yeah, like a computer getting a virus, or
Mhm.
are you getting a flu or a cold?
100%. That's always what I thought, and that's why he's malfunctioning like that. And I think that's what helps towards the end. Like just like with the T800, he's not in the same exact shape anymore either. He's like 40% at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah, that's his way of slowly breaking down, just like the T100 slowly breaks down with the flesh and maybe damage to his endoskeleton. Yeah, I get that. It is good. It kind of shows you that he is slowly. There's something wrong here. He's not what he was before, so you can stop him.
Yep, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So is that everything on the T2 special edition?
That's everything in the Terminator 2 Special Edition. And
Yeah.
of course, that brings us to the alternative ending, John.
Which is in the Ultimate Edition, which like I said, I think is only on one Blu-ray.
Yeah, well, I remember when I think it was is it the Extreme DVD came out, or was it the Ultimate DVD came out? It's like the first edition of the T2 DVD. And you used to have Easter eggs, but you had to search for them on the menu screen.
I
And-
remember this stuff.
Yeah, well, that alternative ending was in one of the Easter eggs.
Ah, yeah. See, I didn't see this ending on my first Extreme DVD. It might have been on there because of that, but I do not remember. I didn't see that till years later.
But that's where I saw it. I found it and I watched it there, and I loved it. I like the alternative ending. I would reinstate it, and if I could.
I personally like the narration over the black road. We're going where we're going. I like that. It's the makeup for me. Like I kind of like if they were the makeup, if they could redo that like that, maybe I would appreciate it more. But these are the little things that distract me. It's a lot like we're talking sequels. Like the reason why Rocky Balboa distracts me so much and why I put it dead last is because it's just how the movie itself looks and like how Sylvester Stallone looks in the movie. I'm like I can't get past that.
Well, I watched the alternate ending earlier before we come on, and just to refresh my memory, and again, I like it. I don't know what the problem is with the makeup. I know that was what the filmmakers said as well, but I think it looks fine. But
you don't think it looks caked on there?
I think it looks fine. I mean, what year is it supposed to be? 2029. So what age is she supposed to be then?
Yeah, I don't know. It just looks like you could just pull it right off of her personally.
Yeah, maybe. But aside from that, I think the flaw in it is that, like we talked about in our Back to the Future podcast, predicting the future is tough. And they try to predict what clothing people will be wearing, and it's all like baggy and brightly colored. It's kind of Back to the Future 2-esque.
It's only 2 years later.
Yeah, and is it not 2029?
Well, I meant like.
Sorry, you mean the movie came out 2 years later? Sorry. I thought you meant 2015. I was like, no. But that's distracting. But I mean, how different would the world really be?
That's also true. Yeah, I get it's really just the makeup. I do like that it's the finality of it. That's pretty cool, but just because we ignore the sequels after it.
Yeah. Well,
So.
that's more my thinking. It's kind of like this is it. The saga is over. We don't need any more after this. But what I do also like is that how you see she talks about John still becomes a leader. He's part of the U.S. government and he's a senator, and maybe has this potential to be a president one day, and he's there with his daughter, and the fact that the daughter comes over and asks to tie her lace and says, I love you, Grandma, and gives her a kiss. And it's just like, I think it's really nice to see that Sarah was going to turn out okay. She was going to have a future. She was going to have a granddaughter. And I thought all that was touching. Now, the only other flaw would be that, would they not be wanted? Would they not be on the run? How could he become part of the government if he?
Oh, that's a great point. Yeah,
perceived as like terrorists.
Yeah, because they don't know that they saved the day. They just see that they just destroyed Cybertron.
Yeah, they don't know. They don't know the crack. They just think that.
And they're gonna have to run. That's a good point.
Yeah, but I do like how she opened up by saying, nothing happened. Michael Jackson turned 40.
I know. That's ridiculous. But that's Of course. I mean, I don't even know if that age would be right at then. He didn't make it though.
Well, it was
Surprised you guys.
sorry, she was talking about August 29th, 1997, came and went. Judgment Day came and went. Michael Jackson turned 40. She says, I should have been out celebrating, telling everybody, the cherry sleeve, but instead I got drunk. So she wasn't talking about where she was in 2029.
Okay, yeah, all right. So yeah, that makes sense. Because little does she know that by 2009, Michael Jackson would be long gone.
Yeah.
She does, but hey, we can't predict the future. I'm surprised you guys didn't mention the greatest sequel of all time, Paul Blart Mall Cop. Off to work. See you guys soon. Thanks for the $20, buddy. I really appreciate that. That means a lot, man. And he said, "Oh, real quick, John, I finally saw Criterion Collections. The Thin Red Line cinematography is outstanding." Oh yeah, Terrence Malick. Off to work, mate. Great movie. All his movies look great. If you ever want to go on a cinematography trip, he is awesome. So, and what did this guy? Cameron did. Yes, he did. We'll talk about them in a second. And what else did you say, buddy? I just want to make sure I go through this. Was great. Terminator really should have stopped at 2, in my opinion. Yes, it definitely should have. No worries, buddy. Just glad you can pop in here. But overall, my thoughts on the special edition is it's good. I still like rewatching it every now and again, but I think that the theatrical is still the way to go.
Yeah, I think, as Cameron says, theatrical is the ultimate version. It is the ultimate version. You don't need any more. But as I say, I don't think the special edition is bad per se. No way sometimes people put special editions out and go, that's bad. But why did he put all that back in? That's not Terminator 2 special edition. Terminator 2 special edition is very interesting, and the majority of the scenes are really good.
I agree. I very much agree. So we hope you guys enjoyed that. We did want to talk about that a little bit, but we got to get back to our top 5. So you want to lead us off with that, Dave? Your top 5 sequels?
Well, do you want to go first, John, since I went first the other way?
Yeah, you're right. That's fine. Let's switch it up a little bit.
It's up to you. Just as I say, I just think I'll just pass it over to you.
I mean, I'm going to say it, and you're just going to say punt anyway. So my number 5 is Aliens. Speaking of James Cameron.
I thought you were going to say Jaws 2. Punt.
Yeah, I thought so. So what's your number 5?
The Godfather Part 2.
Okay, that's a punt.
Okay.
Right, so back to my number 4, which I know is not a punt because you said it a little bit earlier, and that's Batman Returns.
Okay, Batman Returns. Let me just scroll up here in my notes. I'll give you my synopsis.
Please do.
You're going to have to. I spent a lot of time on this. Okay, here we go. Gotham City's crime-fighting Dark Knight takes on the repulsive Penguin, seductive Catwoman, and diabolical Max Schreck in Tim Burton's twisted gothic fairy tale.
100%, and that's the perfect synopsis for it, buddy. I think you nailed it. And yeah, he's got 3 villains to play with this time, and not just the old Joker from the past one. So this is upping the ante, and I even upping the ante in the Tim Burtonisms. Like this one, the first one we had the Prince soundtrack, but this is very much a Tim Burton's Batman kind of movie.
So I just see George has commented, my friend George. How you doing, George? Don't worry about it. Yes, I would pick Jaws 3, George, but what we're actually doing here is it's our top 10 favorites first sequels. So it's basically like the number 2s. So it is, we're going to do 3s at some stage. Jaws 3 might make it on there. You never know.
So, I like Jaws 3 a lot.
Yep. As do I, as you know. But I'll put the Jaws 3 thing up there. But yes, John, you couldn't have said it better. Batman Returns, as I learned from Tim Burton, he says it's not a traditional sequel, as in it picks up where the first movie left off. He says that it is like a new episode, and it feels fresh and new, but still has that kind of one foot in what Burton done in the original movie.
Yep. Empire Strikes Back for me. We'll talk about that. Exactly. That's exactly what it feels like. And I always felt like it does stand alone. So him saying it feels like a new episode, it does have that standalone feeling kind of thing to it, where it feels like just a continuation of what we saw while also adding new characters, all just done in the perfect, like Tim Burton way, the practical sets that they have that they built for this, because they didn't have the sets from the original, like we talked about in our podcast for this. So they had to rebuild them all. And again, it all just works so great. The way I love it. I know you love the scene of him and Catwoman together when when they're at the party, and they're the only ones not wearing masks, but they are wearing masks when you think about it, because this is them and them coming to the realization about who is who. I mean, that's just pure cinema.
Yeah, I love it, John. This has became one of my alternative Christmas movies. I watch this nearly every December. I look forward to watching it. I love the score, the atmosphere. I look, as much as I love the original Batman, and I know they kept Pinewood up to film a Batman 2, but Burton wanted to film this in America, I think in California, in LA, in the sound stages. I appreciate that he wanted to do something new, and I've grown to love the whole aesthetic of the whole movie. It fits it perfectly. I don't think filming in Pinewood would have fitted this as well. So I love all that. And the standout scene for me of the whole movie is when Catwoman reveals herself, Batman reveals himself, and he tries to talk her down from doing what she's doing, and she just can't do it.
No, she just can't. She's gone too far, and like revenge is taking over. She has to kill Max Shrek first.
Yeah, it's the revenge has became her life, as Batman tried to warn her.
Mhm.
And to me, like the same with the original Batman, these are just three tragic characters. That's exactly what they are. They're lonely, they've duality, and it's tragedies that have brought them to this point.
Yeah, Tim Burton's always been attracted to people like this, the outcasts of society, and trying to bring them to the forefront. Unfortunately, I think one of the lessons of this movie is you can't. You're gonna always be different. You're always gonna be an outcast, so it's not gonna work out.
Yeah.
So, yep. That was my number 4. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is Aliens.
Okay, that one was my number 5. So we're close on that one at least. I thought it'd be a little bit higher on your list.
Yeah, John, do you know what? I did have this in around. I had it at number 2 at one stage. I then went. This is like the charts, the music charts. It was at number 3 until today, and then I moved it into number 4 after a wee bit of thought. So, so after 57 years drifting through space, Ellen Ripley wakes from hypersleep to find herself in a new nightmare, fighting aliens alongside space marines.
Yeah, great. I mean, just an incredible follow-up. And it's amazing, too, having a different director, not having Ridley Scott come back, bringing in a director. At this point, he's just proven for Terminator. So, like, is he going to be able to fill the shoes of Ridley Scott? And then, of course, he comes along. And in a lot of people's opinion, not my opinion, Aliens is the better movie compared to Alien.
Right, okay. I'm an Alien fan.
Me too. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. And I do love this sequel. Obviously, it's my top 4 favorite sequels. I think it's an amazing follow-up, but there's a lot of it which is very similar to the original. And I think what James Cameron does, which is why he's so good at doing sequels like Terminator 2, was that he just makes it a wee bit more action-orientated, and he ups the stakes. So, for example, Terminator 2, it's instead of a woman in peril, it's a child, and more people will protect the child, so they will. And the likes of Aliens, he does the same thing in Aliens. So instead of Ripley going after the cat to save the cat at the end, she goes after Newt to save Newt at the end. And instead of a 7-8 foot tall alien, we've got a, I don't know, 15-foot alien queen to contend with. So he just kind of ups the ante, ups the action. It's a great sequel, but I'm still more of an Alien fan.
100%. And one thing I want to point out, I just was rewatching because I'm Stranger Things 5's coming back. So me and Faith are rewatching Stranger Things, and we just got past 2. There's a scene in 2 that has them in a control room, and they're just looking at monitors, and a bunch of these demi-dogs are taking out people one by one. I'm like, that's just taken right from Aliens. And it's funny because Paul Reiser is at the helm of this. So it's like, come on, they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, 100%. I'd agree with you, because I was about to say there, Paul Reiser's in Stranger Things, so it's obviously a nod to him.
100%. And I like that, and they're playing with your expectations when you first see him, because they're like, these people know that this guy's from Aliens and they're expecting him to be the villain. And then the twist being is, oh, he's actually a nice guy.
He's actually a good guy. Yeah. Here, is Linda Hamilton in the new series?
The new one coming out. Yeah. I saw a picture of her. Still looks like a badass too, man.
Yeah. I seen a video of her. She was in London promoting it, and she was outside her hotel having a smoke, sitting outside the hotel on the ground. And his family come up and says, come a sip with you? And she said, yeah. Just let them sit down beside her, and they took a photograph, and she kissed your woman's hand and all.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. But she seemed really friendly and really nice. Yeah.
She's always seemed like that to me. Like, she doesn't seem like, she seems like she likes to be alone too, but she's always like, every you speak to her, she seems like she's really nice.
Yeah. Unless you're a robot, of course.
Well, yeah, she don't trust them, and can you blame her? So I guess what did we just do? Your number 3 or number 4?
Yeah. So you're under your number 3, mate.
My number 3 is The Empire Strikes Back.
The Empire Strikes Back is your number 3. That is a not on my list.
Really?
Hmm.
I am very surprised at that.
I'll tell you why in a minute.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, this is the follow-up to the original Star Wars. I was on the fence about putting this on just because of like, it's technically part 5, but this is the truest of true sequels because it's a sequel to A New Hope that came out in 1977. So it's the follow-up to that. And this is my personal favorite Star Wars film. So it's
Mhm.
actually the rarity where I think that the sequel's better than the original. But
Mhm.
I also think that this is where money comes into play. They get better makeup. They're able to actually create more themes. Everything just comes into play. It ends on the dark side. It ends on a dark note. I like that. It's a much darker version. All the characters are just better. It takes a lot of things that other sequels have followed up on, like separating the teams into like 2 separate teams, so we can have them like Luke's doing his thing over here. He's got to eventually come back. Another thing that Stranger Things does in season 2, 11 stops her training because she has to go back and save the kids at the very end of the year. Their friends need help, but it's like, well, okay, but you're not done. You haven't really mastered your powers yet.
Yeah,
I
that's
just
right.
love
She
all that.
leaves.
Yep, I just love all of that, and I love Billy D. Williams coming back. I think Empire is one of the best of all 9. I agree with you. Your buddy George is a smart man. And Aaron says, not a sequel, part of a trilogy. Randy from Screen 2.
Yeah. No, of course, George is a smart man. I wasn't laughing at that. It was just the way you said it.
Oh, I do.
Literally, it was like your buddy George is a smart man, but you're not, David. You're stupid. That's why I started laughing.
As long as you picked up on it.
Yeah, no, that's why I started laughing. I didn't want George thinking I was laughing at that. But okay, so look, I agree with you. It's the best Star Wars movie. And I also agree with you that it's good that you picked it. To me, it is a sequel to, because I look at the original trilogy as the originals. I don't look at it as like 4, 5, 6. I look at it as like Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. I'm old school. Love you too, buddy. And look, I think it's the most mature of the Star Wars movies. I think it's the deepest of the Star Wars movies, and I also think it's got the best score, and I think it has the best plot as well. So, but the reason I don't have it in my top 10 is because I am not a massive Star Wars fan. That's the reason why I can't have it in my top 10.
That's
the
a
only
more than
reason.
that's a more than fair reason. If you're not a big Star Wars fan, why are you going to say that The Empire Strikes Back? You would just be like almost like saying it just to say it, like a lot of other critics do. If you don't necessarily love it, it
Yeah,
shouldn't make your top 10. It's our
yeah.
favorites.
Do I think Ghostbusters 2, or Young Guns 2 is better than Empire Strikes Back? No, but it's just that one of my favorites. I can't remember the last time I watched it.
I actually just watched this like a month ago. I watched the first 2, like New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, every year. Sometimes I stop before completing the trilogy, which is probably a sin to people, but I do have some problems with Return of the Jedi. One day we'll talk
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, well, Return of the Jedi is the weakest of the original trilogy, in my opinion.
I can't move past the Ewoks. I don't care how much
Yeah.
defense you give me. But the
I don't
stuff in
care how
Jabba's
much-
palace is great.
Yeah, I don't care how much of an allegory it is about Vietnam.
Yeah, which I get, but like it's just I have to buy into these things with like these puppets with sticks are gonna beat fucking the Empire.
The Empire, exactly. But even the stuff in Jabba's palace at the start, yeah, it's fun. But then I think it's, again, even that is very kid friendly.
Well, there's a lot of
puppets and all.
there's a lot of kid friendly stuff in there for sure. But I always I like it. I like seeing Luke we get to see like true Luke finally now, fully trained Luke. I like seeing him pop up in there like that.
Yeah.
The confidence. Like I'm a big fan of like moments like that.
Yeah.
I love the duality at the very end with him and Vader, but it's just again we're editing between that and the Ewok stuff with Han and everything. And it always takes me out of the movie. Always.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think the most interesting part of the third movie is the Luke Skywalker stuff. And it's basically, I love the scene where he goes to Endor and he talks to Leia and suggests that she's his sister. I love the music in that scene where they're standing in the forest and the sky and stuff. And of course, the fight at the end, all that's pretty good. But it's kind of like, it's one of those things. There's a lot of good stuff in it, but there's a lot of bad stuff in it.
Yeah, 100%. I used to watch the OG trilogy a lot, but Star Wars overexposure has changed that. Well, that's the other problem. It's like it used to be a thing where we just didn't get as much Star Wars, and then Disneyfied it, and they definitely killed it.
But I hear people talk about their favorite trilogies now. They don't even mention Star Wars anymore, and that's the thing. You know, people will go, "Well, it's not a trilogy no more." You're not even in that conversation.
Once it started becoming a yearly thing and with TV shows, it like you ruined it. We had the trilogy for so long, then we got the prequel trilogy, and then there was this long gap, and it's like, you know, you kind of ruined what made Star Wars special. And like it's not special anymore when you can get it all the time.
Yeah.
So that's the sad truth. So that was my number 3, but what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Back to the Future Part 2.
Okay, so that's a punt from me for my number 9.
Oh yeah, you done that already? Yes. So I'll give you my synopsis, John, before we move on. With the aid of a time traveling DeLorean, Marty McFly and Doc Brown continue their adventures to retrieve a sports almanac and correct the timeline.
Yeah, I mean, we can't really spend too much time on this because we literally just did a podcast that came out this past Friday that we're going to try and like guide you guys if you want our full thoughts on Back to the Future. We spent 3.5 hours on it.
Yeah. Well, look, for me, this is one of my favorite sequels from my favorite trilogy of all time. I had it a wee bit lower, but the more I thought about it, the more I thought, oh, hold on, I really enjoy this movie. I love this trilogy, and it's been with me since I was a kid. And every time I revisit it, I enjoy it from start to finish. So it has to be high on my list.
Well, I'm going to piss you off real quick because I was listening to, I talked to you how we did the rules for this for the top 10 show rules. Well, the guy, John Roca, also hosts another show called The Cinephiles, and they did a live, like we're doing right now, on the whole Back to the Future trilogy. And the one guy, Steve Morris, he actually said that one of the big reasons why he doesn't like Back to the Future 2 is because it's like a retread of the first one. Which I know. I thought of you the second I heard that. What's up, Frank? Glad you could pop in here, buddy. Frank from Frank's Media Reviews.
Hi, Frank.
I knew that was like, I was like, are you kidding me?
But did he elaborate? I hate when people say it, but did he elaborate? What is in the second movie, which is a retread?
He didn't give a reason because it was like in a round table. Like he was the one who was the lowest on it. Like one person said that like, you know, they really liked it. Another person was like mixed on it. And then he said he really doesn't like it because he felt like it was a retread of the first one. And he hadn't seen it. Like I think another guy said since college.
But, you know, if I was to sit here, I go, well, I think Empire Strikes Back is just a retread of Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, you can even say that with a lot of movies. I just don't see it other than the one sequence which we brought up in our show was the skateboard sequence, which they hang a lantern on.
Yeah. And we discussed this and I had said that it's all done in purpose because history repeats itself. That's the point. That's the joke. It's not that they're just being like, oh, we don't know what to do here. We're just going to put a skateboard chase in because we've run out of ideas. No, they've done it on purpose. I mean, is Han Solo being frozen carbonate? Is that not akin to Ben Kenobi being struck down by Vader at the end of Star Wars? Is it not exactly the same thing?
Exactly. It's just, you know, just because you change when it's how it's done doesn't mean it's not exactly the same story structured version of it. Yeah. It's like I think we talked about it like in other movies we've done on the show. If you really kind of break it down to a structure, it might be structured the same, but it's not exactly the same.
Not the same. Well, all I would say is that when I hear, because that's the second time I've heard that. Remember, because you knew it was going to piss me off. We had talked about this. And the thing is that if that's what certain reviewers think, then tell me why. Tell me why. Don't tell me I've seen it 30 years ago.
Exactly. Like, just be like, I saw it 30 years ago and I thought it was the same. It's like, it's not really a very fair defense, of like why you don't like it.
This is the thing, John. We're talking about Terminator 2 there. If there's one sequel that is very like the original, it's Terminator 2. It's beat for beat the exact same movie, but it's one of the best sequels ever made. But nobody ever says that because it's such a great time. But this is the thing. You got to understand, when you're making a sequel, you cannot deviate too much from the original. People want to see familiarity. You still have to have that one foot in the original, but give the people something new. And that is exactly what they've done in the Back to the Future Part 2.
100%. And I agree. And that's why it made my list. And he brought up Home Alone 2. I didn't consider it, but I really do love Home Alone 2 Lost in New York. That's a great one. That one that would be in my honorable mention. T2 Train Spotting. That's also a good sequel, but that one I don't think gets even close to the first Train Spotting.
Yeah. No, I mean, I watched Train Spotting 2 and didn't like it whatsoever. And I want to pretend it doesn't exist.
I thought
The,
I thought it was okay. I thought it was okay, but the original one's it's so good, and it just doesn't have that like kind of like grimy feeling that the original one had.
No, the original is such a good movie. It's one of the best movies in the 90s. And like there actually is a sequel to Train Spotting, and it's not the movie they made. It's called Porno.
I never saw that.
It's a book. It's
Oh.
Irving Welsh followed it up, but I think there's like a trilogy of books. I think there may be more than that. I'm not sure, but the second one is called Porno, and they try and get into the porn business.
Oh, interesting.
Hmm.
Okay, maybe I should read that. I didn't know that. I just kind of wrote off like I did see T2 when it came out. I was a little upset they call it T2, but I get
I
it.
don't understand that. Why would you do that when you know fine rightly that T2 is Terminator 2?
My guess is it's from a marketing point. Like when you type in T2 online now, like people will get Train Spotting 2 and be like, "Oh, there's a Train Spotting 2."
Well, that's what I thought. I thought it was cynical.
That was just my best guess because I was like, T2, my God, Top Gun Maverick, baby. Frank, I had it at number 10. Made my list, man. Don't you worry. So that was my number 3. Did we do so now we're up to your number 2, right?
It's sorry, I said my number 3. I think you're number 3 or number 2.
Well, my number 3 was The Empire Strikes Back. Did we do your number 2?
Yeah. Sorry, you're doing yours first.
Oh, yes. So that means we're up to my number 2, right? Okay.
Yeah.
What's up? How you doing, Tony the Load Rider Smith? Glad you could pop in here, buddy. I know that's a reach, haha. I like Home Alone 2 a lot. Like, don't get me wrong. My only big thing with Home Alone, compared to Home Alone 1, I believe those people could survive those things. And Home Alone 2, they're dead. Like they've passed on. Like, there's no way they're surviving. So I think you already said this one. So my number 2 is Godfather Part 2.
Yes, and that was my number 5, John.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
I'll give him a synopsis, and you can give me your thoughts. The saga of the Corleone crime family continues, exploring Don Vito's rise to power in the early 20th century and his son Michael's reign in the 1950s.
Yep, and I love the duality of this movie, showing us like how the rise of Vito Corleone from the time he goes from, well, even when he starts out in Italy or Sicily into coming over here to the United States, showing that rise as we basically get the fall of Michael and into just like one of the biggest antagonists in film history from the place he started. Like, I think Michael Corleone's arc is one, if not the greatest arc in film history, and without The Godfather Part 2, you don't get that.
Yeah. Well, this is a prequel sequel, so we can put it on our
Yeah.
sequel list because it does go back. Yeah, without a doubt, just it is one of the greatest movies ever made. It's not just one of the greatest sequels ever made. I think that if we were fair, this may be should be number 1 on most people's lists if we were going to pick the best sequels of all time.
Well, my top 3, I think, I would say would be, for my opinion, the best and my favorite. So it actually kind of overlaps a little bit for me personally.
Yeah. Well, I had this, I think, at around 3, I think, or 2, maybe. Or no, or may have been 1. I had it in my top 3 until earlier on the week, and then I went to myself, you know what it is? It's supposed to be favorites. And as much as I love Godfather Part 2, I really do. The other 4 that I have in front of it, I just watch more often. So that's basically why I was like, oh, well, I'll drop it down here. Because you're right. I mean, I find The Godfather Part 1 you can watch in isolation. It's a complete movie from start to finish. I don't think you have to watch any more after that.
Really?
No, definitely not.
I've kind of shifted on that now, because every year I watch The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2 to watch the whole arc. And then I'm done. I don't watch 3.
Well, you see, the thing is that I found, I could be wrong, that there was this kind of snobbery from people who didn't want to choose between them. So they would lump them in together. Whereas I could say to you now, I think the first one's the better movie.
So do I. I mean, if you've gun to my head, I'm going to say 1. There are moments in Part 2, which is why I just give it a little bit of a ding, is because there's, you're kind of in the middle of the action, and then we have to stop and go and see Vito and what he's doing. And I find that cross editing to be a little bit, sometimes it can be a little bit deflating, even though it's still like a perfect film. It's just like in comparison to the first one where it's just very linear. And, I feel like in a bubble, I would still pick 1.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because it is a complete story. And the thing is that, but once you go into 2, it continues the story perfectly. And those characters that we were intrigued about in the first movie, Marlon Brando's performance, he won an Oscar for. So they were able to then show you how he rose to power, now, which is very interesting. And that they were then able to parallel that with the son at the same age and show you how he is running the family compared to what Vito was doing, and how Michael kind of run the family on fear and Vito run it on respect.
Mhm.
And Michael says that, I think Michael says that in the third one, why were you so, I think he says, why am I so feared when my father was so loved, or something like that. But all that stuff about Vito and the Raise to Power, that's in the original Godfather book.
Yeah, right. What's his
Right?
name? Mario. I always forget the director.
Mario Puzo.
Yep, who wrote
Right.
the original book.
Yeah, but all the Michael stuff in part 2, that's not in the book. That's all just made up for the movie.
Oh, they did a great freaking job.
Yeah, so they took all the stuff that they couldn't put in the original movie and put it in the second movie, and then created this new story to continue Michael's story as a parallel. I think Puzo's whole idea was he wanted to tell a story, not necessarily this story, but a story about the father and the son at the same period in their lives. And it just so happened, when he was asked to do Godfather Part 2, this idea he thought, well, I could take the Vito stuff from the book and write a new chapter for Michael and kind of intercut that. And as you say about the intercutting between the scenes, I think there was more cuts and it was confusing the audience too much. So he had to kind of go back and re-edit it and make the Vito scenes a wee bit longer and the Michael scenes a wee bit longer, and not cut as much.
Yeah, which makes sense. I think I actually would have preferred a little bit like shorter cuts to show the more juxtaposition, because I do think we spend a little bit too much time. But again, it's The Godfather 2, so what can I say? It's still a perfect movie. Illuminated Pro, we are just doing the number 2s in a series, so that's why you don't see anything other than that, or why you don't see Freddy's Dead, Tony Lowrider Smith. Ben Rondo, Spider-Man 2 did not make my list. I liked Spider-Man 1 and 2. I think I've told you guys the story, though. After I saw Spider-Man 3, I was done. Spider-Man 3 broke me. A Christmas Story Christmas was better than anticipated, I have to admit. And I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I find the Godfather movies a little overrated. Not majority, but a little. Not majorly, but a little. That's fair. Listen, hey, we all have opinions, and when people tell you that these are the best movies ever, sometimes it's like, if it doesn't live up to that hype, it's pretty overrated.
Mm-hmm.
If you agree with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something can be overhyped, but the Godfather movies are movies that have actually grown on me over the years. The older that I get, they're movies I see when I was younger and thought that they're okay, they're good movies, but now, like, the more I watch them and the older I get, the more I appreciate them.
Hey, that's one thing that comes with age. Our taste changes as well. Things we maybe liked when we were younger. Like I think I said in a video for The Killer, I said that when I was younger, I liked a lot more action movies than I do now. It's like as you see the more nuance and things, you get to appreciate more adult dramas as you get older.
But it is, yeah. I was going to say, John, it's the slower pace. It's the acting. These were true stage actors making a motion picture, and apart from that, they set design, the costumes, and how it was shot, the cinematography as well in both movies too. So it's top class.
100%. So of course it had to make our list. What's your number 2?
So my number 2 is Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Yeah, that's my number 1. So which it's a little deflating because I think I've said it a million times. That's my favorite sequel of all time. I think it's the best sequel of all time. So of course I had to put that at number 1. But that means I know what your number 1 is. But you want to give the synopsis for Terminator 2?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that today. I forgot about the synopsis. The T-800 is back in a new mission to protect the future resistance leader John Connor and save humanity from the evil supercomputer Skynet.
I love that you wrote these all out. Yeah, I mean, listen, we just spent a good half hour on Terminator 2, and there's a whole show out here on Terminator 2. I saw Terminator 2 first, and then I went back and saw Terminator, and for a long time, Terminator 2 was my favorite film of all time. It's still in my top 10 favorite films of all time. It's still the greatest sequel of all time, in my opinion. It's just like the original Terminator has passed it by, in my opinion, but that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with a 5-star film, a 10 out of 10. That is Terminator 2.
Yeah. totally agree, John. T2, one of the best sequels ever made. I think everybody will agree with that. And yes, I think that I think I don't know if I want to call it a cult following that people are saying that T1's better, but I feel as if that opinion's growing. I don't know if it's to do with the tone of T1. I've heard the horror community try and steal it and say it's a horror movie. It's not a horror movie. It's a sci-fi thriller, in my opinion. But Terminator 2 is such an amazing follow-up, and it's definitely one of those movies that once you watch T1, you want to watch T2.
100%. You just want to dive back in and then pretend that those other sequels do not exist. And that means that why don't you tell them what your number one is? I kind of was able to figure it out.
My number one is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge.
Well, Tony the Lowrider Smith would be happy with that.
I'm only kidding. My number one is Jaws 2. Jaws 2. Now, I admit, probably the inferior film on my list for let me see, go back to my list here, John. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a better movie than, say, Rocky 2, but I'll argue it's better than Psycho 2, Batman Returns, Ghostbusters 2, and Young Guns 2. But Jaws is my favorite movie of all time. The Jaws series is my favorite franchise of all time. So how can I not put Jaws 2 as my favorite sequel of all time? So
I respect it.
Thank you, John. Police Chief Martin Brody must convince the citizens of Amity Island that a new shark terror has arrived to their shores and rescue a group of teenagers.
Beautifully done.
Yeah. And I just feel as if it's a great follow-up. I think I'd mentioned that we done a Jaws 2 episode way early on when we started doing this. And I think it said then is that I believe that this was the best sequel that they could have made at that time for Jaws 2. And I feel as if it does continue Chief Brody's story. I like his arc in the movie. And I also think that they really captured the tone of what made the original great. Now, is it perfect? Far from it, but I find it highly enjoyable.
And I totally respect that. I've only seen Jaws 2 like a handful of times. I enjoy it, but I'm not the world's biggest Jaws fan like yourself. So like it's more of a respect thing.
Yep. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate that.
Out of respect for you. It was out of respect.
Yeah, but if I hadn't had Terminator 2 on the list, that respect would have been out the window.
Yeah.
Had it been any higher than 2, or lower, should I say, than 2?
Yeah, I would have. I would have accepted 3. I would have accepted 3. All right.
Yeah. Well, I was for a while kind of thinking Aliens, Terminator 2, Aliens, Terminator 2. Then I went, you know what? I actually think I like Terminator 2 a wee bit better.
I hope so. I mean, I love Aliens. Don't get me wrong. We're not talking about a bad film here. Like any of the movies I said, and even the ones that like before we get out of here today, like I don't know if you have a couple of honorable mentions, but I wrote down a few as well. So like I wrote down, the 2 I wrote down that are at the top are Gremlins 2 and Lethal Weapon 2.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say firstly that while it's still fresh in my head, this is our top 10 favorite sequels. So we love all of them.
Exactly.
It's not, we're not saying, oh, this one's bad, but this one's good. We love every single one of these movies. They're movies that me personally, I know I return to again and again and again. I've got them all on physical media. A lot of them I had on DVD and VHS. So I've had them throughout my life. But in my honorable mentions, John, I did have Gremlins 2 on there. I think I would have made it somewhere if we were doing like a top 20. It would have made it somewhere in there. But one I really wanted to mention, and I struggled not putting this in my top 10. And the reason I didn't put it in is because it's a great movie. I just don't visit it as much as I maybe should, and people forget that it's a sequel. And in my opinion, it's the best in the series. It's A Shot in the Dark. A Shot in the Dark. So it's the sequel to the Pink Panther.
Oh, I haven't seen that in years. I know you're a big Pink Panther guy, though.
Yeah. So Peter Sellers, Inspector Clouseau, and this one here is the funniest one, and it's such a great sequel.
The 4Ks are coming out here in the US, I think next month or in January.
I heard about that, and I have them. I have that. I think I showed you before.
Yeah.
I have a beautiful DVD box set I've had for years. So if it comes here on Blu-ray at some stage or 4K, I'll think about getting it.
All right. Hey, I mean, I just don't know if you would be worth it for you to upgrade because you already have a beautiful collection. I respect no one. Huh, I'm not.
Oh,
too sure.
that's the saying. Sorry, that's a saying from Yeah, Inspector Clouseau, Shot in the Dark, right? Shot in the Dark is basically somebody's murdered in this wealthy house, and he has to go and solve the case. And he brings them all in at the end, and he tells them all, "I suspect everyone, and I suspect no one." He does this whole spiel at the end. It is very, very funny.
For the new moon tomorrow at 7. Nice. Gonna be last day. Okay, cool. So is there anything else you want to say to the good people?
Well, just one final movie I want to mention, because look, there's been so many great sequels over the years, and
It's
look,
hard.
it is hard. Me and John, as we say, our favorite decade. We both love the 70s, and we love the 80s. And I think doing our podcast, doing the 80s, we've done a lot of 80s movies recently, and I think doing those 80s movies we have a lot more fun with. Like I love Poltergeist 2. You know what I mean? I have written down our Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Lethal Weapon 2.
I love Lethal Weapon too.
Yeah, Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere near as good as the original, but it's still a fun sequel, in my opinion. Karate Kid 2, another fun sequel. But this one here I wanted to mention, and I mentioned to you, John, is that the original is known as one of the greatest horror movies of all time. It's basically a classic. Excuse me. And there's a trilogy. And I actually think the trilogy is such a really good trilogy. But every time I watch it, I enjoy the second movie more than the first. And that is Damien, The Omen 2.
Interesting. I was actually I was gearing up for you to say Friday the 13th Part 2.
No, because I know that's a popular one in the horror community, that a lot of fans think that's one of the best Friday the 13th. But this movie here, so Damien sent the military camp, and he's staying with and his cousins there, and then obviously, it's been away since I've only seen it a couple of times. But what happens is that there's the kids in the military camp are picking on them, and it's all about how he sorts the bullies out and things like that. But I just enjoy that far more than the original.
I haven't seen that one in years, but I wanted to revisit the entire original series. I mean, the original one I watched last year, and then I watched the newest one, which was horrible. I just did not like it.
Right. So there was one out. It was a prequel, wasn't it? Recently.
Yeah, I watched that the same day as another movie that starts Cindy Sweeney. It was very similar to The Omen. I watched them back to back, and it's one of the worst days I've had in years.
Well, I heard that Omen. What's it called again? The first Omen.
The first Omen.
Yeah. Well, I heard at the time it was getting very good reviews.
It was. People loved it. Like I was in the minority. I saw it and I was like, what did everybody else see?
Yeah. Well, I think all you need is the first three. I know they remade it as well, and I remember the first time I watched it was a fellow I worked with many years ago. Was talking movies with him, and he says, "Have you seen The Omen?" I says, "No." He couldn't believe it, so he lent me the trilogy box set, but it included the remake. And I watched the trilogy, and then I watched the remake, and I kind of thought the remake was pointless. But I do think the third movie is half decent. So it's the Antichrist as an adult, and he's working in the government.
Yeah, which I actually love that element. That I was hoping that they would explore that in future Omen movies.
Yeah, and because that's the whole prophecy, is that he's gonna take over the world, and that's how he's gonna do it. He's gonna be in the government. Yeah, but that's why the first one ends with him standing beside the president.
Yeah, I love that ending shot. It's so great. Like there's no stopping him.
Yeah, and of course the third movie is played by Sam Neill.
Yep, one of his earlier roles.
Yeah.
And now Sam Neill's an old man. It's crazy how life goes.
Yeah. You know he was born here.
Really? He was born in Ireland?
He was born, I think he was born in a wee town outside a wee town called Omagh. I think it was
really?
Omagh. Omagh or Bangor? I think it was Omagh. Yes. But he was raised in New Zealand.
He's always got that very like Australian sounding accent to me.
Yeah, he's an Aussie accent, but he was born, I'm near certain he was born here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, we'll claim him, John.
Take him. You should claim him. I mean, I'm wearing my Jurassic Park hat. That's what I'll always be known for.
See my t-shirt?
I love that. Astoria. That's awesome. That's awesome. Great shirt, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
But I think we did a lot today, and we appreciate you guys all showing up here to do the top 10 sequels with us, and for doing, talking about the T2 special edition. I hope we entertained you guys. Did you have a good time, David?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It always flies by, John.
Well, always talking to you goes quick, man.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. So that it was good to kind of do something different for a change, and do something live because I haven't done a live since April. So
And we are going to be doing another one next month, David and I, because next month on our regular show. So, if we give you guys a peek behind the curtain for our art show, the Let's Talk Movies podcast, we'll have a Batman 89 the Rewind series. We're going to have our first one of those coming out next Friday. But in the month of December, we're just doing Christmas Vacation on the show, and then we're doing a live show. Which you want to tell them about that, David?
yeah, first of all, about the Christmas Vacation, I just realized that's an 1989 movie as well.
Is it? Jesus Christ!
I just realized that. But yeah, there's somebody. What was I going to say? Oh, did you ask me what next live we're going to do?
Yeah, what's that about?
Yeah, so our next live we're going to do is basically what makes a Christmas movie. We want to discuss about what makes a Christmas movie. Do you think Die Hard is a Christmas movie? Well, what makes that a Christmas movie for you? Or do you know what I mean? Or do you think it has to be something like, Miracle on 34th Street or, The Grinch or Christmas Vacation? Or do you subscribe to the idea that Gremlins and Batman Returns is a Christmas movie? But also the backdrop to that is going to be a brief discussion on why I think Jaws: The Revenge deserves to be lumped in with Christmas movies.
100%. I'm looking forward to rewatching Jaws: The Revenge in the next few weeks and drinking some Bahama Mamas.
John's going to be on the Bahama Mamas. I think I'm just going to stick to Bailey's.
Just Bailey's? Yeah, I might make some non-alcoholic ones. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We
Yeah.
got some time to prepare for that. We just want to let you guys know, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Illuminati Pro said he's not really too into the Omen films, which is fair. Not everybody is, And what are we doing? The worst sequels of all time? We talked about how we like to do some positive stuff on here. I don't know if I could put myself through 10 terrible sequels.
Yeah, I mean, I bet there's a hell of a lot more to choose from there.
Oh, yeah. There's more bad sequels than there are good.
You see, the thing I find about bad sequels would be that there's probably an awful lot of bad sequels that we have avoided because they are bad. So it would probably be more a case of the bad sequels that we have seen as such, because when you maybe watch a sequel and you're disappointed, then you go, well, that's bad.
Yeah.
Right? But it mightn't necessarily be a bad sequel.
The worst sequel of all time is Dumb and Dumber 2, in my opinion. Watch The
Mhm.
Running Man. I hope you enjoy that, Mr. Smelly Potato. I haven't seen the new one yet. So, but anyway, guys, that's
Guys, sorry before you. I would say The Dark Knight Rises is a bad sequel, but there's a lot of people out there who disagree with me.
I would say it's not a good one. It's not my favorite, that's for sure. But I wouldn't say it's like up there with the worst. Like I still think Dumb and Dumber 2 is the worst one because I think Dumb and Dumber is the best comedy of all time, and that sequel it hurt me.
Yeah,
That made me rethink how much I like the first one. When you do that, like that's a problem.
yeah.
So, but anyway, guys, that's going to do it here for us tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends about us, and then we'll be seeing you around.